Chapter 1229 The Second Trial 8. She didn't want to have anything to do with Jun Linyuan, but it wasn't like she had a choice. In her head, the fairy was still reminding her in a serious tone, "Pretty master, you only have 20 minutes left." Feng Wu panicked. Seeing how eager Feng Wu was to see Jun Linyuan, Chaoga sighed inwardly. She wondered if Xiao Wu really had fallen in love with the crown prince. Chaoga felt so sorry for Feng Wu, but when she saw the anxious look in Feng Wu's eyes, Chaoga felt that she had to tell her. "I remember Feng asking His Royal Highness if he wanted to go to the World Tower when they were leaving." The World Tower. Feng Wu wanted to give Feng a big hug. He had to be the loveliest old man in the world. Without another word, Feng Wu dashed off, running as fast as a shooting arrow. Soon, she was out of sight. Biting her lip, Chaoga looked concerned. Granny Zhao and Qiling heard the noise and came out, but they were surprised to find Chaoga alone. Qiling said, "I thought I heard Miss Wu just then. Am I hearing things now?" Chaoga said, "No, you heard correctly." Qiling asked, "But where's Miss Wu? Why isn't she back yet? I wonder what Miss Wu has been busy with lately. She wasn't rushing around like this before." Biting her lip, Chaoga hesitated. That was right. Xiao Wu seemed to have changed after His Royal Highness carried her out of Imperial College the other day. She said, "Is it possible that Xiao Wu is in love with His Royal Highness? She ran out earlier to look for him, and she's looking for him again." The others exchanged bewildered looks. She can't be. Feng Wu had no idea of the suspicions of the people in Fallen Star Yard. At that moment, she was running toward the World Tower as fast as her legs would take her. She was so worried that she would get there only to find Jun Linyuan gone again that she was almost in tears. Luckily, when she rushed into the World Tower, she saw that the lobby was packed. Many people were talking excitedly, saying that His Royal Highness was in the World Tower at the moment. Feng Wu heaved a sigh of relief. She quickly ran up the stairs, but was stopped by someone at the door. "That was because, your card, please." The tone was polite, but there was something authoritative about it. Each floor of the World Tower represented a different level of social status, and one couldn't go anywhere without a card. Feng Wu frowned a little. Of the few times she had been here, no one had ever asked her for a card. Moreover, she didn't have one. Everyone fell silent, and the atmosphere suddenly turned awkward. "Hey, isn't that Miss Feng Wu?" The tone dripped with acid and was very hostile. Frowning, Feng Wu turned her head and saw that it was Zhuo Qingyu. Next to Zhuo Qingyu were a few of her old acquaintances. Feng Lu, Feng Sang, and Du Guillermo. Feng Lu sneered at Feng Wu. "Oh my, who do we have here? Why bother coming to the World Tower at all if you don't have a card?" Du Guillermo didn't expect to see Feng Wu here, let alone catch her in such an embarrassing position, and she smiled. "Miss Feng Wu, would you like to sit at our table? We're on the 5th floor." Feng Wu didn't have time for this nonsense. Her top priority now was to find Jun Linyuan. "I need to see the head of the World Tower." Feng Wu stared at the person guarding the entrance. The guard was a pretty maid, but she had a very stern look on her face. Glancing at Feng Wu, she said indifferently, "The head of the tower won't see you just because you want to." Chapter 1230 The Second Trial 9. Hearing that, Zhuo Qingyu and the others burst out laughing. Feng Lu said, "This isn't some place you can come and go as you please. Do you think you can go upstairs? In your dreams?" Zhuo Qingyu gave Feng Wu a half-smile. "Beg me and I'll take you upstairs." Feng Sun had a card that could bring her right up to the top floor, but Feng Wu didn't have enough time to find Feng Sun, take the card, and run back. "Pretty master, you only have 5 minutes left," the fairy reminded Feng Wu. Feng Wu was speechless. The conflict between Feng Wu and the other girls had attracted a lot of onlookers, and the crowd kept growing. Feng Wu looked around and felt that this had to be her unlucky day, because apart from Zhuo Qingyu and the other girls, she couldn't see any familiar faces in the crowd. If that was the case, Feng Wu started backing away. Seeing this, the others thought that she was going to give up. They shook their heads and felt disappointed. She wasn't showing any of the tenacity from her fight with Xianyuan Yi at Imperial College. Just then, Feng Wu took a deep breath, exerted the spiritual essence in her dantian, and yelled at the top of her lungs. Jun Linyuan. Come down here. Right now. Wow! Feng Wu's roar exploded throughout the world tower like a thunderclap. Everyone around her stared at her like they were seeing a ghost. OMG. She. Feng Wu just shouted in the world tower. Is she nuts? Doesn't she know that no loud voices are allowed here in the world tower? Those who make noise here will be blacklisted. If it's really serious, they could be imprisoned for life. Does Feng Wu have a dead wish? And she just called His Royal Highness by name. Like everyone else who was staring at Feng Wu like she was crazy, Zhuo Qingyu and her friends also stared at Feng Wu with wide-open eyes as well. That was outrageous. Feng Wu had gone too far. Zhuo Qingyu flashed a malicious smile. His Royal Highness hates it when people are too arrogant and unrestrained. Feng Wu attracted his attention before with her pretty face, but after what she's just done, her good luck has just run out. What was Jun Linyuan doing at the moment? The world tower was divided into 9 heavens, which were used by the customers, and beyond world, which was Jun Linyuan's private space. Needless to say, he was in beyond world now. He still remembered when Feng Wu had done some embroidery work and sewed him a little yellow duck right here in this room. Studying the ugly duck in his hands, Jun Linyuan felt perplexed. For someone as pretty as Feng Wu, how could she be so terrible at sewing? How did she turn a pair of lovebirds into little yellow ducks? The idea frustrated the crown prince. Recalling the words the girl had shouted in northern Feng Mansion, Jun Linyuan was infuriated all over again. There was no warmth in his eyes, and he looked as frightening as Satan himself. Humph. Little Feng Wu. Stop running around in my head. Aren't you tired? Outside, Feng cleared his throat, but fell silent almost immediately. He didn't want the crown prince to know that he had hurt him. The crown prince stood by the window. From behind, he cut a tall, slender figure, and the well-fitting robe only accentuated his charisma. He reminded one of an immortal who had been banished to the mortal world. But right now, he was. 1231 The second trial 10. However, Jun Linyuan, the ethereal beauty, was holding an ugly yellow duck in his hands and thinking about throwing it away. It had to be the ugliest needlework he had seen in his life, so ugly that it was an insult to his taste. Who would want to keep such a thing around? However, just as he was about to loosen his grip, he gripped it in his hand again. Well, it's still a usable pouch, and I have some silver in it. It'll be such a waste to throw it away. The crown prince slowly tied the yellow duck pouch onto his belt again. Feng might be guarding the entrance outside, but the door was open, so he could see everything the crown prince was doing. Feng shook his head and smiled in resignation. For a cultivator, falling in love could be the greatest trial they had to go through. By the looks of it, the crown prince himself didn't know that he was in love with the girl. The crown prince said decisively, "Little Feng Wu, just wait and see." No one would believe that the unapproachable crown prince could have such a childish side. But Feng was used to it. Ever since Feng Wu showed up, this state had become the crown prince's new norm. While Jun Linyuan was playing out his one-man show on the top floor, he heard the roar outside. Jun Linyuan. Come down here. Right now. That voice. Even Feng, who thought he had seen everything, couldn't help but jump a little. A hush fell over the room. Feng reminded the crown prince, "Your Royal Highness, I think that's little Feng Wu." Jun Linyuan was about to rush out of the room, but he smirked when he heard Feng. Kick her out. Feng was speechless. The crown prince glared at him. Do I need to repeat myself? Feng rubbed his nose and mumbled, I wonder how aggrieved Miss Wu must be to cry for help in public like this. Jun Linyuan asked, Are you telling me she's crying for help? He thought that she was challenging him. Feng said, Yes, she is. Otherwise, why didn't Miss Wu call for young Lord Feng or young Lord Xian, but you? It means that your Royal Highness is the most important person to her. Jun Linyuan's face had been livid just a moment ago, but now, he looked embarrassed. Flipping his sleeves, he snorted. Crying for help? Can't she walk? Why doesn't she come up here herself? Feng murmured to himself, if I remember correctly, Miss Wu doesn't have a VIP card. She can't even get to the second floor, let alone up here. Jun Linyuan was speechless. Feng went on. And your Royal Highness set the rule yourself, making loud noises in the World Tower is punishable by life in prison. Why is it so quiet now? Have they taken Miss Wu away? Jun Linyuan didn't know what to say. Feng said, Right. Your Royal Highness, did you tell me to kick Miss Wu out? I'm on it. Wait. Jun Linyuan rolled his eyes at Feng. Bring her to me. However, a team of Imperial Guards in black armor had appeared on the first floor of the Nine Heavens. It was common knowledge that the Crown Prince's Imperial Guards were in charge of security at World Tower. 10 guards surrounded Feng Wu. The girl who had asked for Feng Wu's card was called Haiyue. She had summoned the Imperial Guards. Pointing at Feng Wu, she said arrogantly, This woman is disturbing the peace of the World Tower. Take her down. Haiyue was new here, and didn't know about what happened last time. Chapter 1232 The Second Trial 11. This team of Imperial Guards hadn't been here then either. They took what was happening here to be just another regular incident, so 2 team members stepped out and lunged at Feng Wu. Feng Wu looked anxious. If the Imperial Guards arrested her, then... Pretty Master, you only have 3 minutes left. The fairy had been quite at ease earlier, but she had grown anxious as well, and hastily gave Feng Wu the reminder. Zhuo Qingyu smirked and gave Feng Wu a contemptuous look. She wasn't the only one laughing at Feng Wu. Dugu Yamo and Feng Lu were also gloating. Wait. There came a cold voice. All heads turned in that direction. Miss Yu. Lu Yu, the head of the tower, was hastily coming their way. It seemed that no one would leave her in peace. She had received the news just as she was about to go into seclusion, and had to rush over. Miss Wu. Lu Yu beamed at Feng Wu. Chief. Haiyue greeted Lu Yu. Lu Yu cast a stern look at her and narrowed her eyes. What's going on here? Why didn't you treat Miss Wu properly? What were you thinking? Haiyue's stomach lurched. Because she was new here, she had no idea of all the complicated relationships that existed, not to mention the fact that Zhuo Qingyu had given her an East Sea Blue Pearl earlier, and so, Chief, Miss Feng Wu here doesn't have a card, and it's against our rules. Lu Yu cut her off. Miss Feng Wu here is an exception. Lu Yu knew who Feng Wu was better than anyone. Lu Yun, her predecessor, had been removed from her post because she had offended Feng Wu, and Lu Yu didn't want to go down that same road. Thinking that, Lu Yu smiled at Feng Wu. Miss Wu, which floor would you like to go to? Feng Wu said, I need to see Jun Linyuan. Well. Lu Yu smiled. His Royal Highness is indeed in Beyond World at the moment, but, Miss Feng, please wait here while I report to His Royal Highness. Everyone stared at Lu Yu in disbelief. Lu Yu was the head of the World Tower, and almost all high-ranking officials wanted to be on friendly terms with her. Most of the time, however, she seemed rather unapproachable. But now, she was so nice to Feng Wu. She had even said, please. So, Feng Wu. Instantly, many people's opinion of Feng Wu started to change. However, Lu Yu had yet to leave, when she heard a sarcastic voice. Oh my, I was wondering who it could be. Isn't this Miss Feng Wu, who impressed everyone in Imperial College? Who was that? Feng Wu looked up to see a majestic middle-aged man. He wore a brocade robe and had an authoritative demeanor, but there was something very cold about him. The look he gave Feng Wu was devoid of warmth. He was father. Zhuo Qingyu was glad to see Zhuo Ming here. She rushed over to him and took his arm. With Zhuo Ming's current position and capability, he was able to enter the 8th floor. He had just finished a meal and was walking down the stairs. He wasn't alone, but was followed by several officials. Only people as influential as Zhuo Ming himself would eat at the same table, and these few here were all well-known figures in the empire. 1233 Feng Wu in danger. Something cold flashed in Zhuo Ming's eyes when he saw Feng Wu. Feng Wu narrowed her eyes as well. She would never forget that 5 years ago, Zhuo Ming was the one who led the team of attackers, captured her, and made it possible for Zhuo Qingwan to destroy her true phoenix blood. While Feng Wu was frustrated that her true phoenix blood had been destroyed, it was her beautiful master falling into a prolonged state of dormancy after saving her which Feng Wu couldn't tolerate. Thus, she was overwhelmed with hatred when she spotted Zhuo Ming. Lu Yu didn't expect to run into Zhuo Ming here either and looked nonplussed for a moment. However, she soon regained her composure. Master Zhuo, what a pleasant surprise. Come to think of it, Lu Yu wasn't that much inferior to Zhuo Ming in terms of social status. Zhuo Ming gave Lu Yu a half-smile. Chief Lu, shouldn't you take this more seriously? Lu Yu frowned a little. Master Zhuo, what's that supposed to mean? Zhuo Ming pointed at Feng Wu. This girl has made so much noise. If you don't punish her, the rules of your tower will be a joke. Aren't you worried that other people will copy her? So, the man was accusing her of being unjust. Lu Yu was displeased, but still smiled. Master Zhuo, if you've finished your meal, please leave. This is the World Tower's business, I can take care of it myself. Lu Yu had some idea of the Crown Prince's feelings for Feng Wu, but it was supposed to be a secret, and she wasn't going to tell anyone else about it. Zhuo Ming didn't expect to hear such a reply from Lu Yu, and his face darkened. He had thought that with his influence, he could ruin Feng Wu with a few words. Lu Yu's rejection only made Zhuo Ming feel humiliated, and he smirked. How about I take care of it for you, Chief Lu? As he spoke, he walked up to Feng Wu. He looked into Feng Wu's brooding eyes. As soon as their eyes met, Zhuo Ming felt his stomach turn. The girl's eyes were so bright that they reminded him of the brightest stars that could reveal one's darkest secrets. This girl. Zhuo Ming's stomach lurched, and he wanted to throttle the girl right there and then. And that was exactly what he did. Zhuo Ming reached out and grabbed Feng Wu by her neck. Lu Yu's face darkened, and she tried to intervene. What are you doing? Leave her alone. It happened so suddenly that everyone stared at Zhuo Ming in disbelief. How merciless. They also recalled that Feng Wu and Zhuo Qingwan used to be compared with each other since they were little. Now that Feng Wu had risen again, did Master Zhuo feel threatened? At that thought, many people looked at Feng Wu sympathetically. The Feng clan had declined, so if the Zhuo family decided to get rid of Feng Wu, she wouldn't stand a chance. Lu Yu was slightly weaker in her cultivation capability and didn't dare confront Zhuo Ming. Zhuo Ming's left hand was already on Feng Wu's throat. He then lifted Feng Wu off the ground, and her legs dangled in the air. Suffocated, Feng Wu felt her vision go dark and was full of despair. Damn it! She clenched her fists. The Zhuo family almost killed her 5 years ago. 5 years later, Zhuo Ming was trying to kill her in public. Feng Wu swore to herself that one day, she would kill Zhuo Ming herself and wipe the Zhuo clan off the face of the earth. 1234 Hold your hand. Master Zhuo, please release Miss Feng Wu, or you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Lu Yu couldn't stop Zhuo Ming and could only warn him. Zhuo Ming grinned maliciously. His sharp gaze was locked onto Feng Wu and his fingers wrapped tighter around her neck. If he could, he would like to kill Feng Wu now. Master Zhua. A cold voice rang out from the stairs. To the other people in the room, the voice was like an earth-shattering explosion. They turned around in unison and were astonished when they saw the person standing on the stairs. It was Feng, the Crown Prince's steward. Zhua Ming frowned a little when he saw Feng, and realized that he wasn't going to kill Feng Wu today. What was more, he had never planned to kill Feng Wu in public. There was more than one way to take her out in some dark alley. At that thought, Zhua Ming laughed and let go of Feng Wu. Feng Wu could finally breathe freely again, and she gasped for air. Zhua Ming shot her a warning glance. The look in his eyes reminded her of an alpha wolf. Behave yourself from now on. After that, Zhua Ming turned to leave, putting his right hand behind his back. The entire time, he didn't even look at Feng. As the head of the Zhua family, he had his pride. Feng Wu's face was a purplish-blue color, before it turned scarlet-red, and she clenched her fists. Zhua Ming, you've gone too far. She swore that she would one day make the man pay for everything he had done to her. Taking a deep breath, Feng Wu suppressed her frustration and looked at Feng. I need to see Jun Linyuan. Right now. That was such a commanding tone. Everyone eyed Feng Wu in astonishment. To their surprise, Feng said, His Royal Highness will see you now. Miss Wu, please follow me. His Royal Highness had agreed to see Feng Wu. Everyone was shocked. Especially Zhou Qingyu and Dugu Yamo, the two of them exchanged looks, and both saw hatred in each other's eyes. Feng Wu didn't wait, because she didn't have any time to waste. Pretty master, you only have 30 seconds left. The fairy, who had kept her silence, finally cried out. Feng Wu couldn't care about what other people thought anymore and ran up the stairs as fast as she could. Thump, thump, thump. She reached beyond world in no time. The Crown Prince was sitting casually at the table. A red clay stove was on the low table, and some water was boiling in the kettle on top of it. Looking up, he saw the anxious look on Feng Wu's face. Anxious? This girl. Before the Crown Prince could figure out what was going on, Feng Wu jumped at him and caught his hand. Astonished, the Crown Prince drew back his hand. The fairy cried out, Pretty master, you only have 10 seconds left. Feng Wu's heart was beating so fast that she thought it was going to jump out of her throat. She tried to take Jun Linyuan's hand as though she was catching a butterfly, but the first thing he noticed was her neck. What happened? His face turned livid when he saw the distinctive finger marks on her neck. His eyes were like two black pools and he gave off an intimidating energy. The look in his eyes reminded Feng Wu of a sharp blade when he caressed her throat. Feng Wu felt a cold sensation on her throat, but the only thing she could think of now was to hold Jun Linyuan's hand. Hence, she immediately reached for her own neck. Chapter 1235 Ungrateful Girl. However, before she could touch Jun Linyuan's hand, he caught her chin and forced her to look up. Staring at her, he said, Answer me. Feng Wu almost burst into tears. Can you stop moving? I only have a few seconds left. The thought of failing the second trial frightened Feng Wu. If that happened, she wouldn't know where to find her broken star piece. With a ferocious look on his face, the Crown Prince looked like the god of death. Speak. Before Feng Wu could answer, Feng spoke from outside the door. It was Master Zhua's doing. Jun Linyuan let go of Feng Wu and rushed toward the door. He moved as fast as a shooting star. Jun Linyuan. Feng Wu bellowed, pounced at Jun Linyuan, and jumped onto his back. It was never too late to take revenge, but right now, she really needed to hold his hand. 5 seconds left. 5, 4, 3. Don't go. Feng Wu held Jun Linyuan's hand, so tight that it almost frightened him. Jun Linyuan was furious and was going to kill the culprit, but he felt much calmer after Feng Wu took his hand. Zhuo Ming, how dare he? The crown prince wanted to draw back his hand and caress Feng Wu's neck. Gosh, don't move, Feng Wu felt like crying. Jun Linyuan didn't know what to say. 10, 9, 8, 7. Time ticked by, and Feng Wu was flustered the entire time, fearing that Jun Linyuan would take his hand back. Luckily, Jun Linyuan stood there dazed till the end as he stared at her in bewilderment. He looked down at the pretty girl. Her forehead was covered in a thin layer of sweat. Both the rims of her eyes and the tip of her nose were red, and he could clearly make out the swollen handprint on her neck. The girl had gone through so much, but she wouldn't tell him what happened and only wanted to hold his hand. Jun Linyuan frowned. Before he knew it, he began to feel sorry for the stubborn girl. After the hug and the hand-holding today, he was fully convinced that the girl had feelings for him. Silly girl. The crown prince was about to rub Feng Wu's head, when she abruptly let go of his hand and stumbled back until she was around 3 meters away from him. Jun Linyuan frowned a little and stared at Feng Wu. Finally, the second trial was completed. Feng Wu let out a breath of relief and wiped away her sweat. Jun Linyuan reached out for Feng Wu, but her attitude had completely changed. She took another step back, and looked very alarmed. Jun Linyuan was speechless. She was the one who had been trying to hold his hand, but she was doing all she could to avoid him now. This sudden change almost drove Jun Linyuan crazy. Get over here. Jun Linyuan glared at Feng Wu. Since she no longer needed anything from Jun Linyuan, Feng Wu wouldn't go near him. She grinned. Your Royal Highness, I'm sure you have a lot of important work to do, please don't let me keep you. See you. With a wave of her hand, Feng Wu was going to leave. The look on Jun Linyuan's face turned grim immediately, and his eyes reminded one of an imminent storm. Little Feng Wu. Get over here. She had been all over him a moment ago, but was acting like a total stranger now. How incredible. Feng Wu smiled awkwardly, then turned to run. It was now or never. Instead of taking the door, Feng Wu jumped out the window at an unbelievable speed. Chapter 1236. The Third Trial 1. However, the fairy's voice rang out in her ears just as Feng Wu was about to jump out. Pretty master, the third trial has just started. What? Feng Wu almost couldn't stop herself in time. The third trial? Already? Feng Wu felt frustrated. Tell me what it is, then. The fairy rubbed her forehead. Well. Feng Wu said, just tell me. The fairy hesitated again. Feng Wu had a bad feeling. Stop with the Tell me already. She was so anxious. It was only the third trial, so how hard could it be? After much hesitation, the fairy finally said, well. The third trial is to make His Royal Highness play upsy-daisy with you. Her voice trailed off in the end, and Feng Wu didn't hear the last bit. To make him what? The fairy glanced at Feng Wu timidly, buried her face in her hands, and said hesitantly, His Royal Highness has to play upsy-daisy with you. What? Feng Wu blushed. And her mind went blank. Upsy-daisy? Feng Wu swallowed and asked in disbelief. Yes, that. And it has to be completed in the next hour, or else, you know the drill, the fairy warned Feng Wu. Feng Wu cried out, an hour. The fairy nodded solemnly. Yes, an hour. Feng Wu was almost in tears. That's impossible. I only just ran away from Jun Linyuan, and you're asking me to go back to do that? The fairy gave her a sympathetic look, then said grumpily, did I tell you to run away so soon? Feng Wu was speechless. The fairy stared at Feng Wu. Don't just stand there, go get it done. What other choice did Feng Wu have? The 12 trials of love was like a time bomb hanging over her head, and she had no idea when it would go off. Feng Wu slowly headed back to the room, her shoulders drooping. Feng stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Before, Miss Wu would have been long gone by now. This was the first time she had ever doubled back. Jun Linyuan was sitting right inside the room, so of course he knew that Feng Wu had come back. But he was still mad from what happened earlier. He sat proudly in the armchair, his layered robes hanging over the sides like white clouds. There was no warmth in his eyes, only rage and ferocity. Seeing that Feng Wu was slowly making her way back, Feng found what was going to happen very promising. So as considerate as ever, Feng left the room and carefully closed the door behind him. Feng Wu gave him a big thumbs up in her head. She couldn't bring herself to make the request if Feng were around. It was simply too humiliating. But she didn't have a choice now. Feng Wu inched toward Jun Linyuan like a penguin, and it took her forever to reach him. She gave Jun Linyuan a pleading look. The crown prince didn't look away from the book and acted as if Feng Wu wasn't there. Biting her lip, Feng Wu lowered her head. It seemed that Jun Linyuan was really angry with her. Jun Linyuan's profile was unbelievably handsome. He had well-defined features, dark eyebrows, a straight nose, and thin red lips. His jawline gave him such a noble look. Up close, his beauty was breathtaking. Chapter 1237 The Third Trial 2. His robe was slightly open at the neck, revealing his delicate collarbones, and his fingers were fair and slender. He was breathtakingly beautiful, down to the very last detail. Seeing that Feng Wu was infatuated by his beauty, the fairy reminded her, "Hey, pretty master, stop drooling. The clock's ticking." Huh? Feng Wu wiped her mouth involuntarily, and only then did she realize that the fairy had tricked her. She couldn't help but roll her eyes at the fairy in her mind. The fairy gave her an innocent look. "You've been staring at the handsome teenager for 10 minutes. Aren't you ashamed?" Feng Wu blushed and gave the fairy a dirty look. The most important thing now was that Feng Wu inched closer until she was within Jun Linyuan's reach. Sticking out a fair hand from under her sleeve, she tentatively tugged at his sleeve. She was so careful that he could barely feel it. With a solemn look on his face, the crown prince kept his eyes on his book, as though he were a king reading the memorials to the throne. A man focused on his work was indeed very attractive, but Feng Wu needed his attention right now. "Your Royal Highness. Your Royal Highness." Seeing that her tugging was to no avail, Feng Wu pulled a little harder. But Jun Linyuan flipped his sleeve and leaned to the other side. He moved away from Feng Wu. Feng Wu said, She wondered if it was a rejection. Feng Wu felt frustrated and humiliated, for he had just shut her down. On any other day, she would have stormed off by now. She had her own dignity. But the fairy reminded her just in time, "Pretty master, you don't have much time left. Please hurry up." Before, Feng Wu would have been long gone when Jun Linyuan gave her attitude. But now, she gave Jun Linyuan a resentful look. Where the broken star piece was concerned, her dignity was nothing. Hence, Feng Wu inched toward Jun Linyuan again. The crown prince was still holding the book and never looked away from it. He seemed to be completely absorbed. Feng Wu slowly reached out and tugged at his belt. It was a belt embroidered with giant snakes in dark gold thread, and no one else would dare touch it. She tugged on it, but he didn't respond. Biting her lower lip, Feng Wu reached out and tugged again. The corners of the crown prince's eyes twitched a little, and he raised his straight eyebrows. "What do you want?" Jun Linyuan glanced at Feng Wu, looking like a proud peacock. How cold. He acted as though they were complete strangers. Clenching her fists, Feng Wu gritted her teeth. However, she couldn't let it show, because she still needed his help. She then forced herself to smile. It was a perfect smile with 8 white teeth, and her eyes were 2 pretty crescent moons. However, the crown prince looked impatient. He glanced at Feng Wu before he went back to his book. Feng Wu grumbled inwardly, what a pretentious man. She knew that Jun Linyuan still held a grudge against her for what happened earlier, so she fetched a chair and sat down next to him. But he still wouldn't look at her. Thus, Feng Wu reached out and took away Jun Linyuan's book. Chapter 1238 The Third Trial 3. The Crown Prince narrowed his eyes and stared at Feng Wu in an intimidating manner. Teehee. Feng Wu returned that ferocious look with her brightest smile. Her smile already looked like the most brilliant spring flower. No one could bring themselves to hurt her when they saw it, let alone Jun Linyuan, who was in love with her. The smile made his heart skip a beat, but he kept his face expressionless when he stared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu grinned. Your Royal Highness, look, aren't I prettier than your book? This girl. TCH. The Crown Prince rolled his eyes at her. The girl could be as hot as fire at times, but colder than ice the next moment. Jun Linyuan almost thought that she was split into two different individuals. Feng Wu looked at him with her bright eyes and tugged at his sleeve. Your Royal Highness, I mean it. Please look at me. Jun Linyuan didn't know what to say. When it came to sweet talk, this girl was better than 10 Zhua Qingluans put together. What do you need from me this time? Jun Linyuan knew that the girl had to be here for a reason. Feng Wu rubbed her chin. Well, Your Royal Highness, are you going to help me regardless of what I ask you to do? Jun Linyuan smiled indifferently. What do you think? Feng Wu snorted inwardly. She realized that Jun Linyuan had put up his guard and was no longer that easily fooled. Your Royal Highness, look. Feng Wu pointed at the ceiling, where a bird had flown in without them noticing. She looked pleasantly surprised. Your Royal Highness, I'm too short to catch it. How about you? Meanwhile, little Phoenix, who had disguised itself as a common bird, shouted inwardly, My dear young master, that's such a lame excuse. The bird was right. The Crown Prince moved his fingers even before Feng Wu finished talking. His long, fair fingers seemed to have magic. Before Feng Wu realized it, little Phoenix was in his hand. The bird was smaller than a fist and fit perfectly in Jun Linyuan's palm. Holding the bird, Jun Linyuan raised his eyebrows and glanced at Feng Wu indifferently. Does it run away from you a lot? Feng Wu said, yes. The Crown Prince said, and you can't catch it. Feng Wu said, yes. Jun Linyuan narrowed his eyes and said slowly, then what good is it? I'll just kill it. Little Phoenix was already frightened in Jun Linyuan's hand, and those words almost made its heart jump out of its throat. The bird was almost in tears. Feng Wu caught Jun Linyuan's hand immediately. Your Royal Highness, please don't. There was something cold in Jun Linyuan's voice when he said, Did you just call me Your Royal Highness? Feng Wu said, I mean, Brother Jun, let's just set it free. We should always have mercy. Jun Linyuan looked as beautiful as ever when he heaved a sigh. I can clip its wings. That way, it'll never escape again. After that, he actually picked up little Phoenix's delicate wings. Oh, no. Feng Wu was almost in tears. Holding Jun Linyuan's sleeve, she said hastily, Brother Jun, let's talk like civilized people, all right? Jun Linyuan finally gave little Phoenix back to Feng Wu after much pleading. Feng Wu held the bird with both hands. The little thing had curled up and was trembling from an instinctive fear of Jun Linyuan. Chapter 1239 The Third Trial 4. Little Phoenix stuck its head in Feng Wu's arms as soon as Feng Wu took it back. The next second, it had run back into the ring. I was so frightened. The bird patted its chest and gasped for air after it sat down in the ring. It had been that close to losing its life. Outside, Feng Wu stared resentfully at Jun Linyuan. Scratching her head, she felt frustrated. What would it take to make Jun Linyuan lift her up? That was so difficult. Patting her head, Feng Wu frowned and buried her face in her hands. She couldn't stop sighing. The Crown Prince went on reading, as though Feng Wu wasn't there. The fairy was so anxious and kept prompting Feng Wu. Pretty master, you don't have much time left. 30 minutes have passed already. Feng Wu cried out inwardly, what? Already? The fairy said, you stared at His Royal Highness for too long and wasted a lot of time. Feng Wu said, I did not. The fairy thought to herself, yes, you so did. But that's understandable. I was infatuated, too. Feng Wu was racking her brain for a solution when she heard footsteps outside. Footsteps? Was someone here? Feng Wu didn't like that idea. She couldn't make the request when they were alone, and if there was a third person in the room. Feng Wu knew that she would never be able to speak those words. She tried to convince herself that Jun Linyuan had always preferred to be left alone, so he might not let any visitor in. But the footsteps were getting so close that Feng Wu could tell who the visitors were. Soon, she heard a cheerful voice outside. Boss Jun, Boss Jun. It was none other than Feng Sun himself. Feng Wu had an ominous feeling. And she was right to feel that way, for Feng Sun wasn't alone when he came in. Xian Yi was with him. Damn it. Feng Wu was dumbfounded. She could show her weakness to Jun Linyuan and butter him up when they were alone, but now. Feng Wu smacked her forehead. Not good. Feng Sun was too much of a disturbance. Hence, Feng Wu rose to her feet and grabbed Feng Sun's hand. Brother, His Royal Highness is reading. You'll be disturbing him. So please, just go, I'm begging you, thought Feng Wu. Is Boss Jun reading? Feng Sun looked up to see that Jun Linyuan had put the book down. However, something clicked in his head when he saw how anxious Feng Wu looked. So, the girl had finally admitted her feelings and wanted to spend some time alone with Jun Linyuan. The thought made Feng Sun chuckle. Leaning closer, he grinned and asked in a whisper, you want to be left alone with Boss Jun, don't you? Feng Wu couldn't deny it. So she nodded. Feng Sun flicked Feng Wu's smooth forehead and flashed her a mischievous smile. Oh my, you really are. Cough. Next to him, Xian Yi tugged his sleeve in warning. Feng Sun looked up to see Boss Jun's expressionless face and the cold look in his eyes. Rubbing his chin, Feng Sun shuddered a little and said immediately, please go back to whatever you were doing. Chapter 1240 The Third Trial 5. After that, Feng Sun and Xian Yi were going to leave. Feng Wu was secretly relieved. Luckily, Feng Sun knew how to act and when, otherwise she didn't know how she was going to finish the third trial. However, Feng Sun had just turned around, when the Crown Prince snorted. Are you leaving already? Wait. Turning around, Feng Sun looked suspiciously from Feng Wu to Jun Linyuan, and realized that something wasn't right between the two of them. The Crown Prince grumbled, sit down. Feng Sun said, all right. After that, the Crown Prince actually started talking to Feng Sun and Xian Yi, discussing everything from famous cultivators and influential families to state affairs and border defense. They let their thoughts run freely, but most of the time, Feng Sun did all the talking while the Crown Prince listened. Every now and then, the Crown Prince would give his opinion in a few words. But every sentence he said was to the point, and would enlighten Feng Sun. Feng Wu didn't pay much attention to their conversation. All she could think of now was figuring out a way to make Jun Linyuan lift her up. She looked resentfully at Jun Linyuan and wondered if the guy was doing this on purpose. He was such a smart person, so could he have guessed her purpose? Seeing that the conversation seemed to go on forever, Feng Wu couldn't sit still anymore. As a matter of fact, Feng Sun couldn't either. Boss Jun wasn't usually this talkative, and today, he seemed to be actively looking for things to talk about. Moreover, Feng Sun hadn't thought about many of the questions Jun Linyuan asked, and was only saying the first things that came into his head. He felt so embarrassed when Boss Jun pointed out the problems in what he said. Feng Sun wanted to smack his own head. Of all the places he could go, why did he have to come here? The atmosphere felt rather strange. Feng Sun and Xian Yi exchanged bewildered looks. They began to talk with their eyes. Feng Sun asked, "What's going on between them?" Xian Yi said, "I don't know." Feng Sun said, "Somehow, I have a feeling that I'm being used by Boss June." Xian Yi said, "That's true." Feng Sun asked, "Can we run?" Xian Yi asked, "Do you dare?" Feng Sun was speechless. Feng Wu was getting more and more anxious at the fairy's hasty reminders. "Pretty master, you're running out of time. You only have 10 minutes left." Feng Wu took a deep breath. There were only 10 minutes left, and if she didn't hurry up, she would have to rush to finish the task like before. She clenched her fists so tightly that her knuckles went white, before she put on her brightest smile. Feng Wu knew perfectly well that neither Feng Sun nor Xian Yi could change the situation. June Linyuan was the only one that could call the shots. Thus, she had to beg June Linyuan, not anyone else. At that thought, Feng Wu slowly walked up to June Linyuan and tugged at his sleeve. "Brother June, you guys must be tired from all the talking. Would you like to take a break?" "Brother June?" Feng Sun almost choked when he heard that. Since when were these two people on such friendly terms? Zhuo Qingwan and Duge Yamo all called him Brother June, but the same words sounded off coming from Feng Wu's mouth. Even Xian Yi got goosebumps when he heard it, let alone Feng Sun. Chapter 1241 The Third Trial 6. Did Feng Wu not know that? Of course she did, but for her broken star piece, she had to become an award-winning actress. Brother June, tugging at June Linyuan's sleeve, she batted her eyelashes at him, her big bright eyes reminding him of a deer. With her soft voice and the innocent look in her eyes, anyone would offer her all their sympathy. Even Feng Sun couldn't help but feel pity for her, let alone June Linyuan. In his head, Xian Yi gave Feng Wu the thumbs up. He was amazed by the girl. She could adapt to any circumstance. Not only was she irresistibly sweet, she was also smart and talented. No wonder even the Crown Prince had fallen for her. Since his buddies were around, the Crown Prince naturally maintained his arrogant demeanor. Glancing at Feng Wu, he drew back his sleeve. "Don't try to butter me up." He looked impatient. Any other girl would have burst into tears and run away by now. But Feng Wu was no ordinary girl. Biting her lip, she gave June Linyuan an aggrieved look before lowering her head and nodding reluctantly. With her pleading tone and her unmatched beauty, no man could remain indifferent to that. The Crown Prince rubbed his chin, and for the very first time, he asked himself, "Am I being too harsh to the girl?" Somehow, the tears in her eyes made him feel a little guilty. Feng Wu bit her lower lip and remained silent. A hush fell over the room. "Hey!" June Linyuan glanced at Feng Wu. He knew that the girl could be such a good actress, and wouldn't believe that someone as heartless as her could get upset so easily. However, when he saw that tears had welled up in her eyes, he felt tormented. "What do you want?" He glared at Feng Wu. Raising her head, Feng Wu looked at June Linyuan with sparkling eyes. "Are you going to give me whatever I want?" The Crown Prince glanced at Feng Wu. Feng Wu went silent. "All right. I knew it wouldn't be that easy." Then an idea struck her. "I have a suggestion." "What?" All eyes were on her. Feng Wu said happily, "Since the four of us are all here, how about we play a game?" Feng Sun touched her forehead. "Do you have a fever?" Feng Wu threw a dirty look at him and brushed off his hand. "Let's play a game that you've never heard of before." "What game?" Feng Sun was intrigued. Feng Wu said, "It's called Truth or Dare. Have you heard of it before?" The rules are quite simple. The name is self-explanatory. Truth or Dare. Feng Wu's plan was quite straightforward. She was going to force June Linyuan to choose Dare and give him a difficult task. She winked at Feng Sun as she spoke, asking for his help. Luckily, Feng Sun wasn't hopeless. He took the hint as soon as Feng Wu's eyelid twitched. Although he didn't know what her plan was, since he was her brother, he had to help her unconditionally. Rubbing his chin, Feng Sun said, "Truth or dare?" "I haven't heard of it before." Feng Wu said, "Let's play rock, paper, and scissors first, and the loser has to choose between truth and dare. If they choose truth, they must tell the truth. If they choose dare, they can't back out. Otherwise." 12:42 The final round 1. Feng Wu grinned at the other three. "The one who backs out will look like such a loser." Feng Sun said, "That sounds quite interesting. Little Feng Wu, you're going to tell us all your secrets." Feng Wu said proudly, "No, I won't. I'll definitely be the winner." But it was no use that Feng Sun was intrigued. Jun Linyuan was the one who called the shots here. "Brother Jun." Tugging at Jun Linyuan's robe, Feng Wu eyed him eagerly. Xian Yi's gaze was fixed on her hand. Boss Jun might seem indifferent to Feng Wu, but he was in fact being extremely nice. No other girl would dare come within a meter of Jun Linyuan, let alone touch his sleeve. "Boss Jun is going to say yes," thought Xian Yi and Feng Sun as they exchanged looks. As expected, Jun Linyuan threw an impatient and dirty look at Feng Wu. She ignored Jun Linyuan's attitude and only beamed at him. "Play with me, please. Don't you want to know everyone else's secret?" She then dragged Jun Linyuan toward the other two, and despite the reluctant look on his face, he let her. From an angle the crown prince couldn't see, Xian Yi and Feng Sun smiled. "What an interesting pair. Where are we going to sit?" Feng Sun's eyes darted around, but he only saw 2 chairs at the table. Feng Wu pressed down on his shoulders and made him sit on the floor. "There, the carpet is thick enough for you to sit on." Feng Sun had no problem with it, but he wasn't sure about Jun Linyuan. His boss Jun was an uptight and graceful man, who couldn't possibly sit on the floor, even if he really was in love with Feng Wu. No, he would never say yes. Feng Sun's mouth fell open when Feng Wu took Jun Linyuan's hand and gestured to him to sit down. "Come on. Sit here." The proud and respectable crown prince really sat down on the thick carpet. Feng Sun was speechless. They could tell that Boss Jun was a little awkward as he sat there stiffly, because he had never sat on the ground apart from when he was cultivating. "Here we go. The game starts now." Feng Wu cut to the chase, for she was in a hurry. She didn't have much time left. She was only on the 3rd trial, but this ridiculous mission was already driving her crazy. There were quite a few finger-guessing games they could choose from, but Feng Wu only had one particular game in mind. "Let's start with rock, paper, and scissors." "What's that?" Feng Sun asked curiously. Feng Wu explained the rules to him. "That sounds fun. Let's start, then." "I can't wait." Feng Sun and Xian Yi exchanged smiles. They decided that they would be the best wingmen possible today. If little Feng Wu or Boss Jun lost, they would definitely ask questions about their feelings for each other. Since there were 4 of them, they would have to form 2 pairs to play rock, paper, and scissors. After picking lots, Feng Wu was up against Feng Sun. She grinned at him. "I'm going to go with paper." Feng Sun glanced at her, and decided not to believe a word this mischievous girl said. Hence, Feng Sun chose rock without hesitation. However, Feng Wu really used paper, so she won. Feng Sun was dumbfounded. Xian Yi and Jun Linyuan had their round as well, and obviously, Xian Yi lost. So, the final round was between Xian Yi and Feng Sun. 12:43 The final round 2. In the end, it was between Xian Yi and Feng Sun. Naturally, Xian Yi won, and Feng Sun lost. Hence, Xian Yi asked Feng Sun, "Truth or dare?" Feng Sun stared at Xian Yi. truth. Xian Yi nodded and smiled. Are you sure? Feng Sun's stomach lurched, but he still rested his hands on his waist and said, bring it on. I'd like to see you try. Xian Yi grinned. Who was the first girl you fell in love with? What? Instinctively, Feng Sun glanced at Feng Wu, and the next second, he wanted to choke Xian Yi. Back at Northern Border City, he hadn't known about Boss Jun's feelings for Feng Wu and had really had a crush on her, but that was a long time ago. Dare. Feng Sun glared at Xian Yi. I choose dare. Feng Wu didn't get the hint, and only looked at Feng Sun curiously. Wait, Feng Sun, who's the girl? Do we know her? If not, why would he have such a reaction? Feng Sun glanced at Boss Jun, and as expected, Boss Jun's face had darkened. He recalled the night when Boss Jun had gone to his place and wanted to challenge him for no reason. He hadn't known what that was about back then, but he had figured everything out now. Dare. It has to be dare. Feng Sun said anxiously. Feng Wu was curious. Which girl is it? Why can't you tell us? I'm so curious. Feng Sun glared at her and wondered if she was asking the question on purpose. Xian Yi teased him. If I'm not mistaken. Feng Sun glared at Xian Yi. Xian Yi. Do you have a death wish? Xian Yi smiled, but didn't say anything. Since Feng Wu was in a rush, she said, fine, dare it is, then. Go downstairs and catch a fish. Feng Sun glared at Feng Wu. What do you need that for? Feng Wu smiled. Didn't you choose dare? Go catch a fish now. Remember, I want it alive. Feng Sun had no idea what Feng Wu's plan was, but in order to avoid truth, he had no choice but to go downstairs. Luckily there were all kinds of fish in the kitchen of the World Tower, and Feng Sun scooped out the first one he saw. He stepped out of the kitchen to find Feng Wu leaning against the doorframe. Feng Wu chuckled when she saw the fish. It was a black, slimy fish with barbed spikes around its mouth. Feng Sun found it odd, but still looked curiously at Feng Wu. What are you doing down here? Is it me or are you acting very strangely today? Feng Wu smiled at Feng Sun. Guess what I'm going to do with your fish? Feng Sun asked, what are you going to do? You're not going to make me eat it raw, are you? Feng Wu grinned. I won't, but I may ask you to kiss it. Hey, little Feng Wu. Have you forgotten that I'm your brother? Feng Sun glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu smiled. Well, I'll cut you loose if you do something for me. I won't even ask you who the girl is. Feng Sun asked, what do you want? Feng Wu smiled. It's very simple. Let's make Jun Linyuan lose, and after that, we'll make him choose dare. Feng Sun asked, what do you want him to do? Chapter 1244 The Final Round 3. Crossing her hands behind her back, Feng Wu grinned at Feng Sun. She then leaned closer and whispered something in his ear. Hey, little Feng Wu. Do you have any shame at all? Feng Sun was astonished. Feng Wu snorted. Will you do it for me or not? Feng Sun scratched his head. Are you that eager? Boss Jun annulled your marriage agreement already. And there's also Zhua Qingyuan, the genius teenage girl, to consider. Don't you have any ambition at all? Feng Wu was speechless. How does ambition have anything to do with this? I'm only trying to finish my mission, thought Feng Wu. She stared at Feng Sun. You're my brother. Are you going to say no to me? Of course Feng Sun couldn't say no. Fine, fine. I'll do it. And I'll have Xian II help you with it, too. Satisfied? Feng Sun rolled his eyes at Feng Wu. Brother, you're so smart. Feng Wu took his arm in excitement. Feng Sun said grumpily, I'm your smart brother when you need something from me, but when you don't need me, you treat me like rubbish. Ha! Feng Wu held his arm. What are you talking about? The brother and sister bantered all the way as they went up to Beyond World. The Crown Prince's face turned even more livid when he saw their linked arms. Before Feng Wu could let go of Feng Sun, he pushed her away and complained, "How clumsy can you be? You would have sprained your ankle if I didn't grab your arm." Feng Sun could clearly sense the change in Jun Linyuan's mood after he said those words. Feng Wu meant it when she said that she would cut Feng Sun loose. Hence, she only asked Feng Sun to cut the fish open in the end, but nothing more. From an angle Feng Wu couldn't see, the Crown Prince was eyeing Feng Wu suspiciously. Soon, the second round started. After drawing lots, Feng Wu and Jun Linyuan were paired up, but Feng Wu lost to Jun Linyuan in the first round. Feng Wu was dumbfounded. She had lost already, which meant that Jun Linyuan was already safe after the first round. Feng Wu was speechless. Xian Yi won the round with Feng Sun, so the final round was between Feng Wu and Feng Sun. The two of them looked at each other in embarrassment, and Feng Sun shrugged. It seems that I can't help you. Feng Wu was speechless. She couldn't believe it when she lost to Feng Sun in the end. Feng Wu. Feng Sun shrugged. I didn't mean to. Xian Yi smiled at Feng Wu. Truth or dare? Feng Wu bit her lower lip. Meanwhile, the fairy reminded her in her head, you only have 5 minutes left. Feng Wu's stomach lurched. Dare would take too much time, so Feng Wu said, truth. Good. Xian Yi and Feng Sun exchanged looks, and both grinned. They had already decided that they would act as the perfect wingmen today. What do you think of Boss Jun? Feng Sun smiled at Feng Wu. Feng Sun was very happy with the easy question he came up with. Little Feng Wu, here's a great opportunity. So, use it to express your love for Boss Jun now, thought Feng Sun. However, Feng Sun clearly didn't understand Feng Wu. 12:45 The Last Moment 1. What do you think of Jun Linyuan? Feng Wu's head went blank when she heard the question. The first thing she could think of was that she was going to kill Feng Sun. Jun Linyuan was such an arrogant, proud, and unreasonable man that she didn't know where to begin complaining about him. However, she couldn't say those things to Jun Linyuan's face since it would certainly infuriate him. She still needed his cooperation for the future trials. At that thought, Feng Wu beamed at him. His Royal Highness is handsome, unbelievably talented, and so well endowed that no one is comparable with him. He's not just an outstanding young man, but the most distinguished leader of our generation. Feng Wu didn't mean a word she said, but her listeners thought she did. The expression on Jun Linyuan's face softened and the look in his eyes was no longer as piercing. There was an affection in his eyes that even he was unaware of. Feng Sun and Xian Yi exchanged looks and grinned inwardly. They knew they were right. Little Feng Wu was indeed very fond of His Royal Highness. Seeing that Jun Linyuan was happy to hear those words, Feng Wu was equally elated. Her only hope was that Jun Linyuan would help her finish all the 12 trials. If she was right, she would find the second broken star piece after these 12 trials of love. That way, her beautiful master could wake up for a little while again. Feng Wu couldn't wait. Everyone there had their own plan and were on completely different wavelengths. You only have 4 minutes left. There was an anxious voice in her head, and needless to say, it was the fairy. Feng Wu's stomach lurched. She only had 4 minutes left, which wasn't a lot of time at all. Hey, let's keep going. Feng Wu beckoned at the others. She realized that she couldn't keep playing rock, paper, and scissors, for it would take her forever to win that way. At that thought, Feng Wu changed her plan. Wait, I have a new idea. All eyes were on Feng Wu, Jun Linyuan included. The girl was always so quick-witted and she could always come up with new ideas. No matter what happened, she never seemed dispirited. Feng Wu picked up a bottle and put it in the middle on the floor. She then said, let's play something new. I'll spin the bottle, and the person whom the bottle points at is the loser. They'll have to choose between truth or dare. Feng Sun was determined to help Feng Wu, because he really wanted to see someone as aloof as the Crown Prince play upsy-daisy with Feng Wu. So, he said, "Oh, what an interesting idea. Count me in. I want to play." Feng Sun had given Xian Yi the heads up, so Xian Yi didn't object to the idea either. The Crown Prince didn't say a word. They proceeded to play the game Feng Wu described. I'll spin the bottle. Feng Wu was so eager to see Jun Linyuan lose that she rolled up her sleeves and volunteered. Feng Sun chimed in, "Great. We'll take turns spinning the bottle. You go first." Chapter 1246 The Last Moment 2. Feng Wu gave Feng Sun an appreciative look, pleased by the fact that he was finally acting like a brother. Their eyes met and Feng Sun raised an eyebrow in satisfaction. "I'm the most reliable brother, aren't I?" Feng Wu put her hand on the bottle and spun it clockwise. Instantly, all eyes were on the long and thin glass bottle. Feng Wu had calculated the speed at which the bottle should spin and had used just the right amount of strength. If everything went as planned, the bottle would stop when it pointed at Jun Linyuan. Finally, she wouldn't be rushed this time. Feng Wu sighed with relief inwardly and made up her mind that Feng Sun would be the one to tell Jun Linyuan what the dare would be. The bottle went on spinning, but was starting to slow down. At this rate, it would stop and point right at Jun Linyuan. In other words, she would be halfway through this trial. Feng Wu was getting very excited when Feng Sun's nose tickled, and, achoo! He sneezed right in the direction of the bottle. At the impact, the bottle was supposed to stop in front of Jun Linyuan, but Feng Sun's sneeze pushed it right past the Crown Prince. At the impact, the bottle ended up pointing at Feng Wu when it stopped moving. Feng Wu was speechless. She stared at the bottle, then slowly raised her head and looked at Feng Sun in disbelief. Even Feng Sun was astonished at himself. Sensing the rage gathering inside Feng Wu, he immediately waved his hands at Feng Wu. "Xiao Wu, I didn't mean to. I really didn't mean to." Feng Wu was almost in tears. The man was supposed to help her, but what did he do instead? "No, I can't get angry, that would be a waste of time." Calm down, calm down." Taking a deep breath, Feng Wu tried her best to remain calm. She gritted her teeth, but still couldn't stop herself from trembling when she said, "Truth." "What?" Feng Wu said, "I want truth, so just ask me the question." These people had no idea what time meant to her now. Her eyes almost spat fire when she glared at Feng Sun. If she could, she would burn the man to ash. Only then did Feng Sun seem to hear her. "Sure. Well, the question." He was about to find an easy question to get it over with so that they could start another round, when the Crown Prince said quietly, "Feng Wu, I'm going to ask the question." "Wow." Everyone looked at Jun Linyuan curiously. He had been quite indifferent since they started playing, and they didn't expect him to volunteer to ask a question. Feng Wu's stomach lurched, and she had a bad feeling. However, since Jun Linyuan had given the command, she couldn't say no. So, she smiled at him. "Your Royal Highness, feel free to ask me whatever you want. I'll try my best to answer you." Jun Linyuan's eyes were like bottomless pits, and he raised his eyebrows when he said, "So, the question I'm going to ask you is..." After some hesitation, he kept his unblinking gaze on Feng Wu and asked earnestly, "Have you ever resented me for canceling our marriage agreement?" Chapter 1247 The Last Moment 3. Have you ever resented me for canceling our marriage agreement? How was she supposed to answer that question? Dumbfounded, Feng Wu stared blankly at him. Feng Sun and Xian Yi exchanged looks and saw the smile in each other's eyes. It was such a subtle question. If they didn't know that the Crown Prince was in love with Feng Wu, they would never have guessed what he meant. Boss June would be so mad if Feng Wu's answer was no, for it would mean that Feng Wu didn't care about him and might actually feel happy that the marriage was off the table. But if the answer was yes, the crown prince would probably be over the moon. So, could Feng Wu understand the meaning of the question or not? As it turned out, she couldn't. She had no idea that June Linyuan was fond of her. So far, she still believed that June Linyuan found her disagreeable to the eye and that all he ever did was pick on her. Biting her fingers, Feng Wu racked her brain, trying to figure out what answer she should give. It was such a tough question. As she bit her nails, she threw a dirty look at Feng Sun again. Answer the question, then. Have you ever felt resentful or not? Feng Sun raised an eyebrow and grinned at Feng Wu. Time was of the essence here, so what could Feng Wu do? Well, it was His Royal Highness's decision, so what choice did I have? Plus, it's been a long time since it happened, so of course I don't resent His Royal Highness. Feng Wu patted her chest and was very proud of being such a magnanimous person. Feng Sun's stomach lurched when he heard Feng Wu's answer. Oh, no. Before he knew it, he was looking at June Linyuan. As expected, the look in Boss June's eyes had turned so cold that it was sharp enough to cut someone open. The temperature around him dropped, and the coldness spread out. The steaming pot on the red clay stove was instantly frozen. Rising to his feet, the crown prince flipped his sleeves and headed for the door. Feng Wu was dumbfounded. What on earth was going on? Feng Sun gave her a nudge. Little Feng Wu, are you an idiot? Go get him back. Feng Wu was speechless. She couldn't understand what June Linyuan was angry about. Just then the fairy's voice rang out in her head. You have 2 minutes left. What? Feng Wu looked like she had been struck by lightning as she stood there dazed. The next second, she jumped up and ran toward June Linyuan as fast as she could. The crown prince was about to kick the door open, but Feng Wu blocked his way with her arms spread open. He almost kicked her in the stomach. June Linyuan's eyes were bloodshot red as he stared at Feng Wu with a ferocious look in his eyes. Out of my way. Like hell Feng Wu would do that. She would rather kill herself than let June Linyuan leave. Her broken star piece. And her beautiful master. At that thought, Feng Wu decided to stay where she was. No, I won't. Rage was written all over the crown prince's beautiful face, and he stared at Feng Wu with a sharp, cold gaze. Are you going to move or not? No. The next second, the crown prince's vice-like hands were wrapped around Feng Wu's neck. His knuckles had turned white, and blue veins popped on the back of his hands. He could easily snap Feng Wu's thin neck if he tightened his grip. Feng Sun and Xian Yi were astonished when they saw this. Boss June. Feng Sun instinctively tried to save Feng Wu, but before he could say another word, Xian Yi tugged at him. Chapter 1248 The Last Moment 4. Shoo! Xian Yi gestured at Feng Sun to keep quiet. Feng Sun glared at Xian Yi anxiously. Boss June has lost his mind. Xian Yi shook his head. For one, even if I let you go over, can you defeat Boss June and take Feng Wu away? Feng Sun shook his head. Xian Yi said, for another, if Boss June really wants to kill Feng Wu, would she still be alive? Feng Sun shook his head. Xian Yi went on, I know you don't want anything to happen to that girl, but do you think Boss June can bring himself to hurt her? Feng Sun shook his head again. Xian Yi asked, so, what are you worried about? They were whispering to each other, so June Linyuan and Feng Wu didn't hear any of their conversation. Meanwhile, the young couple was staring at each other, each one more stubborn than the other, and neither would give in. June Linyuan smirked. Are you going to move or not? Feng Wu shook her head. You can't leave. The crown prince's defiant side finally woke up. Who are you to tell me to stay? Little Feng Wu, you're nothing to me. Vexed, the crown prince let go of her before he walked toward the window. They were on the 10th floor of the World Tower, the place known as Beyond World. Each of the 9 floors below took up dozens of meters in height, so they were several hundred meters above the ground at the moment. Looking out the window, all they saw was curling mist and rolling clouds. It felt as though they were in a heavenly court. The crown prince's thin lips were as red as blood, and his features were as well defined as a sculpture. Without another word, he prepared to jump out the window. Shit! Feng Wu's heart sank. You have 1 minute left. The fairy's anxious reminder rang out in Feng Wu's head at that moment. Feng Wu panicked. June Linyuan was much faster than she was, and if she let him go now, she would never be able to catch him in time. And she would fail her mission. The thought made Feng Wu even more anxious, so she ran toward the window without hesitation. Whoosh! She moved as fast as a flash of light. Everyone in the room was astonished. Feng Sun, Xian Yi, and even June Linyuan were all dumbfounded. Because they just watched as Feng Wu jumped out the window to fall down below. Moreover, she was facing them as she fell, with her back to the ground. Xiao Wu! Feng Sun screamed. But June Linyuan moved faster than Feng Sun could cry out. The second Feng Wu jumped out the window, June Linyuan reacted quickly and jumped out after her, making a beeline for Feng Wu. That damn girl! Blue veins popped on the corner of his forehead and the side of his neck. Given how capable the crown prince was, he was able to catch up to Feng Wu when she was halfway down to the ground. When June Linyuan almost had her, the girl did something incredible. She grabbed June Linyuan's hand and pulled herself down toward the ground. What was she doing? Did she have a death wish? Caught by surprise, June Linyuan was pulled down with her. Feng Wu jinned. June Linyuan, raise me up. I dare you. His face turned livid. Just then, ding, the third trial has been completed. The fairy finally announced the good news. OMG! Feng Wu was so excited that she was almost in tears. Finally, she had succeeded. Chapter 1249 His Royal Highness is horrible to Feng Wu 1. By then, June Linyuan had already landed with Feng Wu. Oh, God! It's His Royal Highness. His Royal Highness is here. His Royal Highness just landed from above. Everybody, look. We don't get to see His Royal Highness every day. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Immediately, everyone was excited and ran out as fast as they could. Because if they ran fast enough, they would be able to see His Royal Highness up close. Hence, all the customers of the World Tower ran out, surrounding June Linyuan and Feng Wu in the middle. Even Zhuo Qingyu, Dugu Yamo, and Feng Lu ran out. Moreover, they were the ones leading the crowd. Thus, everyone saw the beautiful girl in a pink dress leaning against the equally beautiful teenager. The girl had such an ethereal beauty that one couldn't begin to describe how attractive she was. The teenager had the domineering and imposing air of someone born to rule, and his demeanor reminded others of the god of death. They leaned against each other, their gazes intertwined. The lower hems of their clothes tangled together and flapped in the wind, as though they were dancing together. It was the most beautiful picture anyone had ever seen. Seeing this, Zhuo Qingyu felt something click in her head, and her stomach lurched. No. Zhuo Qingyu had never felt so threatened before. This Feng Wu. She decided that Feng Wu had to die. Otherwise, she would become the biggest problem for them in the future. Zhuo Qingyu clenched her fists. Her face had turned livid and her eyes spat fire. Feng Lu had gone very pale and couldn't stop trembling. Feng Wu, why does it have to be you? Why? I don't believe this. I won't accept it. People in the crowd were all looking at them with indescribable looks on their faces. They had almost believed it earlier when Zhuo Qingyu told them that His Royal Highness was only pitying Feng Wu and wasn't fond of her, but looking at them now. Feng Sun and Xian Yi landed at that moment. Xiao Wu. Feng Sun was about to walk up to them, when Jun Linyuan glared at Feng Wu. He sounded like a thunderclap when he bellowed, "Do you have a death wish?" It was such an ear-splitting sound that everyone, including Feng Wu, felt as though they were going deaf. Before they knew it, they were covering their ears. Their heads buzzed, and they felt like throwing up. What a frightening blast. It seemed that His Royal Highness was really angry. Those standing in the front row stumbled back involuntarily. The entire crowd fell back together, and there was much more room for the young couple now. Shocked by Jun Linyuan's voice, Feng Wu couldn't think straight over the buzzing in her ears, which was awful. She gave Jun Linyuan an aggrieved look and complained, "You're going to make me deaf." With her pretty face and her aggrieved voice, all men would pity her. However, the crown prince only smacked Feng Wu on the forehead. Smack. Going deaf? Why do you care, if you aren't even afraid of death? He was already frightening enough when he didn't speak. Now that he was infuriated, he reminded others of 1,000 thunderclaps going off all at once. Chapter 1250 His Royal Highness is horrible to Feng Wu too. The people that were already some distance away moved back even further. The crown prince's bellow almost made them go deaf, especially those who weren't as advanced in their cultivation. Blood oozed out of their ears immediately. Zhuo Qingyu and Dugu Yamo exchanged satisfied looks. Oh my! Here they were, thinking that His Royal Highness was so nice to Feng Wu, but then he was bellowing at her in front of everyone with such a ferocious look on his face. How could anyone say that he was in love with her after this? Ha! Feng Wu had finally moved away from Jun Linyuan, but after he smacked her on the forehead, she lost her balance and fell to the ground. A short distance away, Zhuo Qingyu smirked. As it turned out, His Royal Highness didn't like Feng Wu all that much. Staring at Feng Wu with a ferocious look in his eyes, the crown prince said, "If you want to die, go ahead. No one's stopping you." He then flipped his sleeves and left. Your Royal Highness, Feng Wu's ears were still buzzing, but she still grabbed Jun Linyuan's sleeve. Infuriated, the crown prince threw her hand off and left without hesitation. Poor Feng Wu was left behind. His Royal Highness was mad. Feng Wu had pissed His Royal Highness off. Everyone in the crowd looked at Feng Wu with indescribable expressions in their eyes. Some were sympathetic while others gloated at her predicament. Feng Wu had no idea what they were thinking, because she was lost in her own thoughts. She was talking to the fairy. What about the fourth trial? What's it going to be? Feng Wu pressed. She sounded worried because she had yet to recover from the previous trials. The last 2 trials were finished only less than a minute before the deadline, and that was too close. She could have failed either time. She couldn't afford the loss. The fairy covered her ears. You finished 2 trials in a row. Aren't you tired? Don't you need some rest? Feng Wu snorted. No, I'm not, and I don't need to rest. As long as I can find the broken star piece to save my beautiful master, I'll do anything. The fairy could see the beautiful, godlike figure lying on the white jade ice bed in the ring space, and she tried to compare him with Jun Linyuan, the extremely talented Tianger. She scratched her head, for she didn't know who to choose between the 2 of them. What's the rush? You won't have another trial in a few hours, so get some rest and get your strength back. The fairy felt conflicted after stealing a look at the task on her bulletin board. Feng Wu was about to ask more questions, when she heard a sarcastic voice. Gosh, Feng Wu, why are you still here? If I were you, I would have run away by now. Turning around, Feng Wu saw that it was none other than Feng Lu. Zhuo Qingyu chuckled and feigned a vexed tone when she spoke to Feng Lu. Don't be so harsh. Can't you see how upset your sister is? You should offer her some comforting words. Feng Lu smirked. Comfort her? I would have to lose my mind to do that. If she hadn't overreached and tried to fawn on the crown prince, she would never have to endure this. If you ask me, She got what she deserves. Chapter 1251 The Final PLO. Dugu Yamo pretended to be nice. Feng Lu, stop it. At the end of the day, she's still your sister. My sister? Ha! Feng Lu smirked. If she really thinks of me as her sister, she would never have picked on me like that. If she never treated me like a sister, why should I? Feng Lu walked up to Feng Wu as she spoke and sneered at her. Well, Feng Wu, I bet you want to hit me now, don't you? Do it, then. I dare you. She believed that because Feng Wu had been dumped by Jun Linyuan, she had to be so devastated that she would stop fighting back altogether. Feng Sun had been standing on the side and was furious to hear that. How dare that woman offend his sister like that? Man or woman, he decided that he would kick the person's ass first. He was about to walk up to them, when Xian Yi stopped him. Let go of me. Feng Sun glared at Xian Yi. Xian Yi lowered his voice. You can't do this. Feng Sun smirked. My sister is being picked on, so why can't I help her? Am I just going to watch as those people bully Xiao Wu? You're only saying that because she's not your sister. Xian Yi found it impossible to talk to the guy. This brat was impossible to talk to when he was being unreasonable. Lowering his voice, Xian Yi glared at Feng Sun and said, Have you forgotten? Feng Sun is the person who killed Xian Yuan Yi. She's a tigress, not a helpless bunny. Something clicked in Feng Sun's head and he saw the light. He then smacked his own forehead. That was right. Little Feng Wu had demonstrated her capability a short while ago, proving that she wasn't easy prey. Since Feng Lu wouldn't show her due respect, she could use the girl to set an example. As expected, Feng Wu suddenly raised her head and stared at Feng Lu. Her eyes shone fiercely at that moment. She knew that Feng Lu was being used by Zhuo Qingyu as a pawn, and she also knew that turning against her sister would ruin the Feng clan's reputation. She knew all that, but she didn't care. Feng Wu raised a hand, and smack. She slapped Feng Lu forcibly. Poor Feng Lu. She flew backward in an arc through the air, and fell to the ground with a thump. Everyone stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Holy shit, Feng Wu. If I remember correctly, that Feng Lu is her sister, isn't she? She hit her. She hit her own sister. That's so cold. How can you blame Feng Wu? Feng Lu provoked her first. That's right. Would you just stand there and let Feng Lu say those things if you were Feng Wu? Feng Lu's mind went blank when she hit the ground. She had been smacked away. She couldn't even withstand a single strike from Feng Wu. After returning to herself, Feng Lu raised her head to find all the other people giving her strange looks, and she was so embarrassed. Zhuo Qingyu was the first to react. She mouthed a few words to Feng Lu, then pointed at a pillar. Feng Lu was completely dazed and was too panicked to think straight, so when Zhuo Qingyu showed her the way, she immediately saw the light. That was right. Since she had been humiliated, she had to make sure that Feng Wu would go down with her. Chapter 1252 A Useful Old Plot 1. At that thought, Feng Lu jumped to her feet and rushed toward the pillar at an unbelievable speed. Feng Wu, you've humiliated me. I'll take my revenge after I become a ghost. She yelled as she ran. Zhuo Qingyu had told her that she would save her at the last moment. As expected, everyone shrieked when they saw that Feng Lu was going to smash her head into the pillar. Feng Lu. Don't. Zhuo Qingyu was the first to react. She ran toward Feng Lu, but there was a loud thud. Zhuo Qingyu fell to the ground for no reason. Her hand was only less than 30 centimeters away from Feng Lu. No one saw the evil smile on her face when she hit the ground. Thump. The noise was very loud. Feng Lu knocked into the pillar, and blood splattered everywhere. Feng Lu. Feng Sang realized what had happened in astonishment. Eyes wide open, she rushed toward her sister. Dugu Yamo was helping Zua Qingyu at that moment and kept calling out her name. Qingyu. Qingyu. Are you alright? Qingyu, wake up. In fact, from an angle the others couldn't see, Zua Qingyu and Dugu Yamo exchanged satisfied looks. Dugu Yamo gave Zua Qingyu a thumbs up. Nice job. People would always sympathize with the weak. Now that everyone saw that Feng Wu had forced Feng Lu to take her own life, public opinion would be on Feng Lu's side. With a little guidance, everyone would shower Feng Wu with accusations over what she had done, and Feng Wu's reputation would be completely ruined. And they would love to see Feng Lu dead. With her death, people would be even harsher on Feng Wu, and the impact of this incident would be greater. Now that His Royal Highness was obviously tired of Feng Wu and the Feng clan was too weak to help her, they were certain that they could destroy Feng Wu this time. Zua Qingyu was so pleased about her brilliant idea. However, to Zua Qingyu's surprise, a rock hit Feng Lu just before she hit the pillar. Thump! The rock made Feng Lu lose her balance a little. She still knocked into the pillar, but not with her head, it was only her right shoulder. Hence, she didn't die. She was perfectly conscious, but the pain was unbearable. Zua Qingyu's heart sank when she looked up and saw where Feng Lu had been hurt. Damn it! She clenched her fists in frustration. She finally knew what one step short of success meant. Zua Qingyu threw a dirty look at Feng Lu, hoping that she would return to herself quickly and start crying for pity while she still could. She should grab every chance to smear Feng Wu's name. Feng Lu wanted to, but she was in so much pain that she couldn't utter a word. Feng Wu looked down at her. There was no warmth in her eyes, but only sarcasm. Feng Lu, I'm amazed. Did you just pretend to kill yourself? Crouching down, Feng Wu smiled at her. Do you hate me that much that you want to slander me with your own death? You want the whole world to turn against me, don't you? Lips twitching, Feng Lu sobbed. Chapter 1253 A Useful Old Plot 2. When Feng Lu finally could speak again, she stared at Feng Wu and sobbed, Feng Wu, how can you humiliate me like this? I'll make you pay for what you did, even if I die. How do I have anything to do with this? Feng Wu gave her a half-smile. Did I force you? And how did I humiliate you? By then, the crowd was beginning to give Feng Wu attitude. Since the girls were sisters from the same clan, the crowd decided that Feng Wu shouldn't hold a grudge against Feng Lu, and if she hadn't pressed too hard, Feng Lu would never have tried to take her own life. Most of the time, people would take pity on the weak. Although Feng Lu wasn't dead, the injury to her shoulder was quite severe, and there was blood everywhere. My right arm is crippled. It's all your fault. I'd rather be dead. Feng Wu only smiled. I wouldn't worry about that right arm if I were you. I think the injury to your belly is much more severe. Look, it's still bleeding. Please stop talking and let me stop the bleeding. Hearing Feng Wu's reminder, Feng Lu felt as if she had been struck in the head by a bolt of lightning. Rumble. Her ears buzzed and she was dumbfounded. Involuntarily, she lowered her head. She saw that the lower half of her dress was stained with sticky red blood. She almost went insane at that moment. Only then did she finally remember that she was pregnant. She had kept the baby, but now. Feng Wu said kindly, if I don't stop the bleeding, you'll die. Now, let me help you. She acted as though she knew nothing about Feng Lu's condition. However, many women in the crowd were mothers, and they were shocked and they saw the condition Feng Lu was in. Is that? It has to be her time of the month. No, it's not. There's way too much blood for that. I think she's going to have a miscarriage. What? She's unmarried, how can she have a miscarriage? The Feng clan would protest. Look at Feng Lu's belly. I didn't see it before, but can you see it now? She's showing a little, isn't she? What? She's not married yet, is she? She doesn't even have a fiancé. Instantly, public opinion turned against Feng Lu. Her face drained of all color, and she looked like a small boat being tossed around by tidal waves. Feng Wu smiled a little. Feng Lu had reaped the fruit of her own actions. As to whether or not Feng Wu's own reputation would be affected by this, she couldn't care less. She wasn't the sort who was all about her reputation. Moreover, Feng Lu had her own sister, so to what extent could Feng Wu, a mere cousin, be affected? Swaying, a pale Feng Lu stared at Feng Wu with hatred. Her eyes seemed to spit fire. Feng Wu. How dare you ruin my reputation? Let me die. Struggling to her feet, Feng Lu ran toward the pillar again. She's getting better at this. Feng Wu smiled sarcastically. Feng Lu wouldn't do something like this for no reason, and Feng Wu was trying to force her to show her cards. Lu, don't. A teenager rushed out of the crowd and ran toward Feng Lu. Chapter 1254 A Useful Old Plot 3. Feng Lu's eyes flickered, but she went on rushing forward. Let me die. Let me die. Lu. The teenager threw his arms around Feng Lu's waist to stop her and seemed to feel sorry for her. Dugu Yamo's eyes shone coldly when she saw him. Dugu Mengshi, what are you doing here? Dugu Yamo seemed displeased by the way he was holding Feng Lu. The rosy-lipped pretty teenager was Dugu Mengshi, the third son and the favorite child of the Dugu family. He heard his sister's question but didn't reply. He only lowered his head and looked at Feng Lu with a pained look on his face. Lu, why did you do that? My dear Lu. I was so worried. The crowd was shocked when they heard Dugu Mengshi's words. OMG. Everyone stared at the brave teenager in disbelief. Who is he? Someone asked curiously. The World Tower was filled with famous people, and someone answered the question before long. Hey, isn't that the third son of the Dugu family? The third son of the Dugu family? As in the family of Empress Dugu? That's right, that Dugu family. Oh my, is Feng Lu pregnant with his baby? The daughter of the Feng clan is going to marry so well. Everyone stared at Feng Lu in disbelief. Dugu Yamo was so angry that her eyes had gone bloodshot red. Dugu Mengshi, come back here. Dugu Yamo tried to grab her younger brother. Dugu Mengshi was usually an obedient boy, but now, he was shielding Feng Lu with his own body like a hero. Feng Lu is my girl. I should be the one to protect her. He then turned to Feng Wu and said coldly, Feng Wu, I saw what you did to Feng Lu. If anything happens to her, I'll make you pay. After that, he picked Feng Lu up in both arms and marched off. Feng Wu smiled a little. Dugu Mengshi. Things were getting even more interesting. Dugu Mengshi. Stop right there. Dugu Yamo ran after him like a crazy person. She thought she was going to be the happy onlooker who could watch Feng Lu and Feng Wu jump at each other's throat. As it turned out, her own family had become the center of attention today. Seeing how frantic Dugu Yamo was, Feng Wu knew that things would get even more interesting. Zhuo Qingyu glared at Feng Wu. Are you satisfied now? Feng Wu gave her a half-smile. Miss Zhuo, you could really use some practice with that dive. Zhuo Qingyu flushed. Damn it. Feng Wu had seen through her. However, she soon calmed down. So what if Feng Wu knew what really happened? No one would believe her. Leaning over, she whispered into Feng Wu's ear, so what if I faked it? Feng Lu must hate you so much now. Feng Wu smiled. Does she? Zhuo Qingyu smiled. Feng Lu isn't alone now. Will you be able to withstand the rage of the Dugu family? After that, Zhuo Qingyu flipped her handkerchief and left with a gloating smile. Xiao Wu. Feng Sun walked over to Feng Wu with a frown. What did that girl say? Did she threaten you? Seeing how eager Feng Sun seemed to beat Suo Qingyu up, Feng Wu smiled. How can she possibly threaten me? She's just a clown. Chapter 1255 Hostile Visitor. She didn't threaten you. Really? Feng Sun wasn't convinced. Feng Wu smiled. She's not good enough to do that yet. Holding his sword between crossed arms, Xian Yi kept his unblinking gaze on Feng Wu and frowned. Why? Feng Wu shouldn't have reminded Feng Lu of her own condition, since it wouldn't do her any good. Moreover, she shouldn't have been the one to reveal that secret. Can't you see? Feng Wu grinned at Xian Yi. Xian Yi frowned and shook his head. Feng Wu smiled. You're not supposed to. Xian Yi asked, what? Feng Wu said, don't worry. Have I ever done something when I knew I was going to lose? You'll see in the future. That enigmatic but confident demeanor reminded them so much of Jun Linyuan. Since Jun Linyuan wasn't around, Feng Sun rubbed Feng Wu's hair. Feng Sun. Rumors about Feng Lu soon got out, and the entire imperial capital was talking about it. In Fallen Star Yard, Xiao Wu, why is it that every time you go out, something big happens? I feel like I've missed so much. Chaoga took Feng Wu's arm and swayed it back and forth. Chaoga had been training as hard as she could recently. Feng Wu had been making such quick progress that Chaoga didn't dare take a break. She feared that if she did, she would be left even further behind. Hence, she had been working as hard as she could. Chaoga had been making rapid progress herself. Her achievements in the last few days had been incredible. What level are you at now? Feng Wu looked at Chaoga. Chaoga lowered her head and looked ashamed. I'm only a level 5 spiritual grandmaster. Feng Wu was surprised. Already? That's so fast. Chaoga smiled wryly. Compared with you, that's not fast at all. I've talked to Grand Secretary Fang already, and he told me that if I want to keep up with you, I have to train as hard as I can. I can't afford to rest, which is why I've been practicing even in my sleep. However, she was still very far behind. Feng Wu smiled wryly. With the help of her beautiful master and all the treasures in her ring space, it would be such a waste of resources if she didn't progress at her current speed. Just then, they heard a hubbub of voices, and someone yelled, Feng Wu. Get out here. It was Lady Wang. Chaoga jumped and involuntarily pulled Feng Wu behind her. However, she frowned when she realized who it was. Is that Lady Wang? Lady Wang had been trying to improve her relationship with Feng Wu's family these days and would visit Fallen Star Yard with gifts from time to time, although Lady Xuanji never used any of them. Thump. Lady Wang kicked the door. Unfortunately, Feng Wu had already changed the front door into one that was made from cast iron, and Lady Wang would only. Ouch! The pain made Lady Wang hold her right leg and cry in pain. Lady Xuanji was frightened by Lady Wang's hostility and looked genuinely terrified. Feng Wu comforted her. Mom, don't worry. I'll get rid of her now. She glanced at Granny Zhao as she spoke. Granny Zhao immediately walked over to lead Lady Xuanji back to her room while comforting the lady in her soft voice. After the beautiful lady was gone, Feng Wu slowly turned back to the iron door. Feng Wu. Open up. I know you're in there. You can't hide after all the things you did to my daughter. If anything happens to her, I'm going to kill you. Come out now. Chapter 1256 Where's your lady? Lady Wang was still kicking and pounding on the door when Feng Wu flicked her fingers. The iron door opened at her command. Crack! The momentum of Lady Wang's failed kick sent her hurtling into the yard. The next second. Thump! Lady Wang fell on her face. Some mischievous member of Feng Wu's family had kicked a spiked fruit that looked like a durian in Lady Wang's direction when she fell. Ah! The scream she made reminded the others of a pig in a slaughterhouse. Instantly, Lady Wang's face was covered with blood. She had almost poked her eye out on the fruit. Lady Wang had been so aggressive when she arrived, but now, all she could do was howl in pain. She no longer posed a threat to anyone. "Feng Wu, are you trying to kill me?" Covering the wounds on her face, Lady Wang glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu was so calm that she hadn't left her seat. She still sat casually on the swing under the grape trellis. She smiled. "I'm trying to kill you. Aunt, how did you come to that conclusion? You can't slander me like that. I won't have it." Compared with Lady Wang's frustration, Feng Wu was much more composed. Lady Wang charged at Feng Wu. She didn't want to say anything. All she wanted to do now was slap Feng Wu as hard as she could. However, before she could reach Feng Wu, "My lady, watch out." Granny Gui cried out and tried to steady Lady Wang, because she had noticed a lot of loose red soybeans on the ground. They were hard and slippery beans, and anyone stepping on them would fall. As expected, all Lady Wang could think of was getting to Feng Wu, and in her rage, she completely stopped paying attention to her surroundings, and she stepped right onto the beans. They weren't just lying there randomly, but had been deliberately put there for a reason. Therefore, when Lady Wang stepped on them, Lady Wang screamed as she fell, and she rolled on the ground into a thorn bush nearby. The thorn bush had spikes. To keep burglars out, Feng Wu had sprinkled poison over the bush. Things wouldn't be so bad if Lady Wang hadn't been injured, but now, the toxin could get into her system through her wounds. "My lady! My lady!" The people she brought almost went crazy. All the men Lady Wang brought today were warriors. They were all as strong as bulls and had thick bats as weapons. They were all very capable young cultivators of the Feng clan. But now, all their mouths were open in astonishment. After everything Lady Wang had gone through, they didn't dare take any action. Granny Gui rushed over to the bush and pulled Lady Wang out of it with all her strength. She almost fainted when she saw the state Lady Wang was in. The lady had looked quite pretty only a minute ago. It was thanks to her good looks that Feng Yanfeng was still infatuated with her even after she had given birth to quite a few children. But now, her face was so swollen that her eyes were two thin slits. Her nose was a big knot, her lips were like sausages, and her face was green. OMG! No one would have recognized her as Lady Wang if they hadn't seen what happened. Lady Wang was so angry that she almost went insane, but she still remembered what she was here for. So, she pointed at Feng Wu and gave the order. "Kill her. Kill her now. Kill her." Chapter 1257 Breakdown. The men Lady Wang brought all took a step back involuntarily. They were scared. Lady Wang was already in such a miserable state before she even reached Feng Wu. Imagine what would happen if it was one of them. Instantly, their eyes were full of dread and reverence when they looked at Feng Wu. They had all been born into the Feng family as servants, and Lady Wang was the one who ran the affairs in the family. That was why they listened to Lady Wang. However, they all cherished their lives, and no one would do anything that they thought would get them killed. Hence, when Lady Wang gave the order to attack, they only retreated one step after another. Meanwhile, two people were quickly coming this way. It was none other than Feng Yanfeng and Feng Sang. Feng Sang knew that her mother wasn't Feng Wu's match. She didn't want Lady Wang to get hurt, so she had told Feng Yanfeng to get there immediately. Feng Yanfeng, on the other hand, since he had learned about the Crown Prince's affection for Feng Wu, of course he wouldn't let his wife sabotage his relationship with his niece. When Feng Yanfeng walked in, all he saw was Feng Wu on the swing and the worried Granny Gui, as well as the goon squad that had backed away. Luckily, the fight hadn't started yet. Feng Yanfeng grabbed Granny Gui's arm and asked, "Where's your lady?" Granny Gui was almost in tears. She felt so conflicted. With Lady Wang's swollen face, how was the lady supposed to meet anyone in this state? Would she leave the master with a bad impression when he saw her? The master already had so many pretty concubines. However, Lady Wang had lost her head already. She jumped at Feng Yanfeng as soon as she spotted him, as though he was her last straw. OMG! What the hell? The thing that jumped out startled Feng Yanfeng, and the next thing he knew, he kicked it. Poor Lady Wang. Before she could call her master's name, she was already flying backward. Thump! Lady Wang's head smashed into the wall, making her see stars. There was a fist-sized wound on her forehead that wouldn't stop bleeding. Everyone was speechless. They all gave Feng Yanfeng strange looks. Feng Yanfeng didn't realize what had happened. He grabbed Granny Gui and yelled, "Where's my wife? I thought she was here already. Did you see her? Tell me." Granny Gui didn't know what to do. Feng Yanfeng was choking her. Because she couldn't speak, she could only point at the woman that was lying motionlessly under the wall. And then... Mother! Feng Sang finally arrived at that moment. She was able to recognize Lady Wang since for one, they were mother and daughter, and for another, she knew Lady Wang's clothes and body shape. As soon as she saw who the woman was, Feng Sang ran over to Lady Wang and helped her sit up. Tears streaked Feng Sang's cheeks when she asked, "Mother, who did this to you? Tell me." Lady Wang could no longer speak, because blood was pouring out of her mouth. Was it Feng Wu? Was it? Feng Sang was furious. Putting Lady Wang back down, she drew out her sword and charged at Feng Wu. "How dare you hurt my mother? I'm going to kill you!" Feng Sang bellowed. Feng Wu looked as composed as ever, and she asked casually, "Are you going to kill whoever did that to your mother?" Feng Sang said, "Yes." Feng Wu nodded, then pointed at Feng Yanfeng, who was already dumbfounded. "It was your father. So, take it out on him if you want your revenge." Chapter 1258. What a farce. Bullshit. Feng Sang bellowed, but she still stopped charging at Feng Wu. Everyone in the yard was giving Feng Sang strange looks. Feng Wu was telling the truth. Feng Yanfeng really was the culprit. Stop! Feng Yanfeng finally returned to himself. He glared at Feng Sang, snatched the sword from her hand, and threw it on the ground. He then bellowed, "Behave yourself and take your mother back home." Feng Sang felt aggrieved. "Father!" Infuriated with shame, Feng Yanfeng yelled, "Get out!" His voice was so loud that without the protective formation, Fallen Star Yard would have been blasted to pieces. But Feng Wu only smiled, because she could see that Feng Yanfeng was ashamed of his own conduct. It grew hushed after he shouted those words. Everyone in the yard gave Feng Yanfeng indecipherable looks, and the atmosphere felt extremely awkward. Feng Wu cleared her throat. "Uncle, how can I help you?" She knew that her uncle had the habit of sitting on the fence, which was why he had been so nice to her ever since he was convinced that there was something going on between Feng Wu and Jun Linyuan. He had been like this back then as well. Feng Yanfeng had doted on Feng Wu when she was still engaged to Jun Linyuan. She used to be the apple of his eye, and he used to treat her better than his own daughters. By now, Feng Yanfeng could finally think straight again. He cleared his throat to ease the embarrassment. "Xiao Wu," crossing his hands behind his back, Feng Yanfeng said, "As you may know, your sister is in critical condition at the moment. Aren't you an excellent doctor? Can you help her?" Feng Wu didn't want to, because it would only bring her more trouble. Feng Lu must be so desperate to get rid of that baby now. There was no way that Duga Mengshi was the father, and the baby would become a time bomb if it was brought to term. Feng Wu was about to say no, when her mother rushed out of the house. Xiao Wu," taking Feng Wu's hand, the beautiful lady hesitated. Feng Wu was bewildered. "I thought you went back to your room." The lady looked at Feng Wu with her beautiful teary eyes, and it broke Feng Wu's heart to see her like this. She could never say no to that look. Rubbing her head, she said, "Fine, fine. Mother, please just tell me what you want, and I'll say yes." The lady smiled, and the smile was as resplendent as fresh flowers after the rain. Taking Feng Wu's hand, the lady whispered, "I was too weak when I gave birth to you, and I almost couldn't make it. Your uncle was the one who brought the imperial physician." Feng Wu glanced at Feng Yanfeng and wondered if that was true. Feng Yanfeng rubbed his hands together and said, "It's been a long time. I didn't think you would remember that." The lady could instinctively tell good from bad, so even she frowned when Feng Yanfeng smiled obsequiously at her. She didn't see many outsiders around, so she told Feng Wu, "You don't have to return the favor if you don't want to." Feng Wu was speechless. She would always return a favor, that was her principle. However, she would be the one to decide how to return it. Feng Wu glanced at Feng Yanfeng. "Is Feng Lu very sick?" Chapter 1259. Are you doing this on purpose? Feng Yanfeng looked disappointed. 3 groups of doctors have come to see her already. The first was Master Chu. Then the Dugu family sent their doctors. Finally, we had the imperial physicians over to treat her. He shook his head. They all said that she's beyond saving, both the mother and the baby. Feng Yanfeng wasn't very fond of Feng Lu in the first place, and after this humiliating incident, he would rather see her dead than have the Feng clan's reputation tainted. However, when he saw how much Dugu Mengshi cared for Feng Lu, Feng Yanfeng saw hope again. That teenager was one of the heirs to the Dugu family. Empress Dugu herself belonged to that family. If Feng Lu could marry into that family, would the Feng clan's status rise with her? Because of that, Feng Yanfeng had come to ask for Feng Wu's help. Feng Wu didn't want to go, but since she owed him a favor, she may as well return it now. At that thought, Feng Wu gave Feng Yanfeng a nod. "All right. I'll go, but I can't make any promises." "Of course. I understand." Hence, they all headed for Parasol Yard. Parasol Yard used to belong to Feng Wu, but Feng Lu had taken it after Feng Wu left the imperial capital. She looked around when she walked into the yard and realized that the layout was the same, but the decorations had been changed completely. This place looked nothing like it used to. Feng Lu's screams kept coming out of the bedchamber. Outside, a few white-bearded old men were sulking. Feng Yanfeng frowned. "What's going on?" Master Chu shook his head. "We're running out of ideas. Master Gu is inside now, I hope he'll know what to do." Master Gu was the imperial physician sent here by the royal family. Ah! Just then, there was another scream, so loud that it seemed to tear the roof open. It was so blood-curdling that it even gave all the men outside the creeps. The door opened at that moment, and a middle-aged doctor came out. "Master Gu," asked Feng Yanfeng eagerly, "how's my daughter doing?" Master Gu was rather polite toward Feng Yanfeng, for the minister of the Ministry of Official Personnel was a rather high-ranking official. "Master Feng, it's not that I'm an inadequate doctor, but your daughter's injury is so severe that I can't stop the bleeding. There really isn't anything I can do. I'm sorry for your loss." Master Gu cupped his hands at Feng Yanfeng and was ready to leave. "No." Feng Yanfeng was baffled. How could it be so serious? Feng Wu frowned. "Master Gu, are you saying that both the mother and the baby will die?" Master Gu glanced at Feng Wu and wondered who she was and what made her think she could speak to him. He had always been an arrogant man, and he didn't try to hide his attitude. Feng Wu only frowned. "That's not right. The baby may die, but Feng Lu will definitely live." After that, she was about to enter the bedchamber. Master Gu's face darkened. What did this girl mean by that? Was she questioning his competence? Master Gu wasn't going to leave anymore. Instead, he stared at Feng Wu with a grim look in his eyes. You ignorant child. That was your madness speaking. Feng Wu glanced at him. My madness speaking? Master Gu, why are you so angry? Are you feeling guilty now? Wait, are you trying to kill Feng Lu? Chapter 1260 He needs to be needed. Who the hell is this girl? Master Gu's face darkened. And he wasn't the only one with that reaction. Feng Wu only snorted inwardly. She couldn't care less about Feng Lu's baby, but if Feng Lu died today, people would blame her for it. And when that happened, Zhuo Qingyu's plan would have worked, and no one would believe Feng Wu. At that thought, Feng Wu narrowed her eyes and warned Master Gu, I hope your diagnosis will withstand my scrutiny. You, Master Gu was so angry that his beard bristled. Feng Wu ignored him and quickly went into the bedchamber. She was very familiar with the room, because she used to sleep here for years. However, the layout and decorations had completely changed by now. Feng Lu lay on the big bed. Her pale face was covered in a cold sweat, and her breathing was so weak that one could barely detect it. Dugu Mengshi sat next to the bed and held her hand tightly. The rims of his eyes were red, and it was obvious that he had been crying. Apart from Dugu Mengshi, two other fiercing-looking old maids were in the room as well. One was Granny Sun, Feng Lu's old wet nurse, and the other was Granny Chang, Dugu Mengshi's old maid. Dugu Mengshi turned around when he heard the footsteps and immediately saw Feng Wu. He immediately flared up and trembled with anger. How dare you come here? How dare you? Dugu Mengshi glared at Feng Wu and pointed at the door. You're not welcome here. Go away. Now. Feng Wu wasn't alone. Seeing his reaction, Chaoge and Qiling immediately blocked Dugu Mengshi's way. Chaoge frowned and was furious. Watch your attitude. You can't talk to Xiao Wu like that. Dugu Mengshi was so furious that he laughed. He then tried to push Feng Wu out of the room. However, Chaoge pushed him first. Crash! Dugu Mengshi fell backward and landed on his back. The pain made him suck in his breath. Damn it! Granny Chang, kill her. Dugu Mengshi was no fighter, but Granny Chang was relentless. However, Feng Wu spoke before the granny could make a move. Do you hate Feng Lu that much? What? Those words baffled Dugu Mengshi at first, but he immediately realized what she had said, and glared at her. Bullshit. Of course I don't hate her. I love her more than my own life. Feng Wu glanced at him. If that's the case, why do you want to see her dead? That's the first time I've ever heard someone demonstrating their love that way. Why would I want her dead? You're not making any sense. This is pure slander. Dugu Mengshi yelled at Feng Wu. Feng Wu smiled. I can save Feng Lu, but you're telling me to go away. If I do that, she'll die. You can save her. Ha ha ha. Dugu Mengshi's eyes were bloodshot red with rage. You've been bullying her since you were little. You took everything from her, and you're the reason she's lying here. But now, you're telling me that you can save her. That's just preposterous. Feng Wu finally saw why Dugu Mengshi loved Feng Lu so much. Feng Lu had definitely been playing the helpless bunny around Dugu Mengshi, making him want to protect her with all his might. Dugu Mengshi's older sister and brother were both distinguished figures, and he had always been the one protected. Only around Feng Lu did he feel like the tough man he had always wanted to be. As a matter of fact, he needed Feng Lu more than she did him, because she made him feel that he was needed. Chapter 1261 Is Feng Wu really that good? Feng Wu sighed inwardly after figuring that out and said a silent prayer for the Dugu family. Still, she had to save Feng Lu. Even if she had to die, she couldn't die now. Feng Wu ignored Dugu Mengshi and turned to Feng Yanfeng with a frown. Uncle? She couldn't be bothered to argue with Dugu Mengshi, so she tossed the ball to Feng Yanfeng. Feng Yanfeng was the one who had asked Feng Wu to come, so he stepped out and told Dugemengshi, "Young man, please back off. Xiao Wu is going to treat Xiao Lu." Dugemengshi stared at Feng Yanfeng in disbelief. "She's going to kill Lu. She'll do it." Feng Yanfeng frowned. He couldn't understand why Dugemengshi could be so stubborn. Just then, Master Gu, who was about to leave, stared at Feng Yanfeng in disbelief as well. "Are you saying that this ignorant girl can save your daughter? That's ridiculous." Feng Yanfeng was furious. "Xiao Lu will have no chance if Xiao Wu doesn't do anything, but Xiao Wu may just be able to save her. Of course you people aren't worried. She's not your daughter." With a sudden wave of his hand, Feng Yanfeng said, "Get out, all of you. Xiao Wu, she's all yours." Feng Yanfeng was the minister of the Ministry of Official Personnel and could be quite intimidating when he flared up. Hence, neither Dugemengshi nor Master Gu dared to say another word. However, it was obvious that they had a different opinion. Feng Wu ignored all of them and only hurried over to Feng Lu. Feng Lu had lost a lot of blood and was drifting in and out of consciousness. She looked conflicted when she saw Feng Wu. She really thought she was going to die when Master Gu gave his verdict. "Help me. Feng Wu, please help me." Feng Lu grabbed Feng Wu's hand, gripping so hard that blue veins popped on the back of her hand. Feng Wu nodded. "I won't let you die just yet." If she died now, Feng Wu would be the one who was blamed. Without another word, Feng Wu aimed her fair fingers at Feng Lu's belly and dots of green light appeared on her fingertips. The light then slowly seeped into Feng Lu's belly. "Wait a minute." Master Gu, who had been so sure of himself, was staring at Feng Wu in disbelief now. This wasn't happening. How could this be? The girl couldn't be more than 14 years old, how could she be a supreme-level medicine refiner already? "Are you Feng Wu?" Master Gu smacked his thigh and asked the question in astonishment. "Have you heard her name before?" Dugemengshi stared at Master Gu with a frown. Master Gu nodded repeatedly. "Everyone in the Bureau of Physicians knows her name. Masters Bai and He can't stop raving about her. I think Master Chu is the only one who's slightly better than her. When Her Majesty the Empress Dowager became seriously ill the other day, Feng Wu was the one who saved her life in the end." Master Gu had heard of Feng Wu's name before and was very familiar with her achievements. However, he hadn't connected this pretty girl to that name until now. That's right. Feng Wu. Of course she should be a member of the Feng clan. Smacking his thigh, Master Gu said excitedly, "I admire her ability from the bottom of my heart." Dugemengshi's eyes widened. Was Feng Wu really that amazing? Chapter 1262, Don't Tell Them. Dugemengshi stared at Feng Wu. "Can you save Lu?" Feng Wu was too busy treating Feng Lu to answer Dugemengshi's question. Dugemengshi said hastily, "I'll thank you with a large reward if you can save my girl." Feng Wu still ignored him. Dugemengshi was about to say something else when Chaoga pushed him away. "Xiao Wu doesn't need your reward. Be quiet now. If you disturb Xiao Wu and she fails to save Feng Lu, it'll be your fault." Dugemengshi immediately stopped talking. Meanwhile, Feng Lu stared at Feng Wu with a malicious look in her eyes. She knew that she couldn't keep this child. Dugemengshi wasn't the father, so if she gave birth to the baby, it would only become a problem in the future. Therefore, she had to take this chance to get rid of the baby. While Feng Wu was still treating Feng Lu, the latter directed her spiritual energy toward her own womb. It was too sudden for anyone to react. "Ah!" Feng Lu screamed, "Feng Wu! You're killing me and my child." Even now, she still tried to frame Feng Wu. Because she was convinced that no matter how unreasonable she was, Feng Wu wouldn't let her die, at least not now. Feng Wu was in the middle of treating Feng Lu when all that happened. Her hands jolted and she stepped away involuntarily. "Arg!" My baby. Blood gushed out of Feng Lu's body. Dugu Mengshi panicked. But Granny Chang said, Miss Lu is going to have a miscarriage. Everybody out. Quite a few men were still in the room, and it would be so unpropitious for them to witness a miscarriage. Dugu Mengshi wanted to say something else, but his old maid was already pushing him out of the room. As he was being pushed away, Dugu Mengshi threatened Feng Wu. Feng Wu, I'm warning you. If anything happens to Lu, I'm going to kill you. I mean it. Once Dugu Mengshi left the room, Feng Lu finally realized that something wasn't right. Because Feng Wu was looking down at her with a smile, and kept her arms crossed. Feng Lu panicked. Feng Wu, are you not going to save me? She knew she would die if she kept bleeding like this. Crossing her arms, Feng Wu leaned on a pillar and looked sympathetically at Feng Lu. Since you're so eager to die, I'm going to make your wish come true. Feng Wu, you. Feng Lu was finally scared. Brandishing her arms, she cried out, help me. Feng Wu, please don't let me die. Feng Wu only smiled. Didn't you just kill your baby on purpose? Why would a mother do such a thing? She moved closer, bent over, and whispered in her ear, is it because of the child's father? Feng Wu. Because of the pain, Feng Lu was covered in a cold sweat, and she could feel a chill run down her spine. What about the baby? Dugu Mengshi's old maid was still in the room, and she frowned when she heard Feng Wu. What's wrong with the baby? Feng Lu gave Feng Wu a pleading look. Don't say it. Please don't. If you tell her the truth, the reputation of the entire Feng clan will be ruined. Chapter 1263, I hope she won't do anything stupid. Feng Wu only smiled when she saw the pleading look in Feng Lu's eyes. Nothing. I have no doubt that young Master Dugu is the father. Who else would be so desperate? Feng Wu didn't give a straight answer, which only made Granny Chang more suspicious. She gave Feng Lu a strange look. The girl had been all about saving the baby a moment ago, but now. Feng Wu's face was expressionless when she looked at Feng Lu. She knew that the baby was the result of incest, and she had examined the baby already. It was abnormal. To be more precise, it was. She looked at Feng Lu. Do you want to live? It's quite simple. Get through this and you'll live. What was this? Something began to come out of Feng Lu at that moment. Thinking that it was the fetus, Feng Lu's maid immediately fetched a clean spittoon with some hot water in it, and put it between Feng Lu's legs. Thump! There was a tiny splash. The splashing sound went on, and it was quite scary. That didn't sound right. If it was the fetus, one splash would have been enough. What was everything else? Granny's son took the spittoon and observed the contents in the light. Ah! After everything she had seen in the Feng clan after so many years, Granny's son still fell to the ground in fright when she saw what was inside. She dropped the spittoon and the things inside fell out. Arg! What? Granny Chang gagged when she saw what they were. It was no baby, but something which resembled a cluster of grapes. They were flesh-colored balls, and there were as many as over 50 of them. It was such a frightening sight. Oh God! That's the child of a devil. That's pure evil. Granny Chang was shaking from head to toe, and she pointed at Feng Lu, saying, You're cursed by the devil. She ran out the door after saying those words. Feng Lu was dumbfounded. Looking from the grape-like objects to Granny Chang, who had run out of the room to report to her master, Feng Lu fainted. Feng Wu darted a glance at the pale-faced Feng Lu and headed for the door. Miss Wu, Granny's son called after Feng Wu. Miss Wu, is Miss Lu going to be all right? Feng Wu said indifferently, it'll depend on how lucky she is. She then walked out of the room. Feng Yanfeng was about to ask Feng Wu how things went when he saw her, but Feng Wu waved at him first. Uncle, I think you should take care of those grapes first. Something like this couldn't be kept a secret for long, and word would soon get out. Grapes? Feng Yanfeng didn't know what she meant, until he saw the overturned spittoon on the floor. Chaoga only heaved a sigh of relief after they returned to Fallen Star Yard. Xiao Wu, do you think Feng Lu will survive this time? Feng Wu smiled a little. Do you want her alive or dead? Tilting her head, Chaoga said, Feng Lu really is very annoying, and I've often wished that she could disappear from this world for good, but she can't die yet. Qiuling nodded as well. Miss Lu has to live, and we have to spread the news, telling everyone that Miss Wu saved her. If she offends Miss Wu again, she'll be seen as the most ungrateful person. Feng Wu chuckled. I don't need her to thank me, but... Feng Lu couldn't die yet, so Feng Wu hoped that her sister wouldn't do anything stupid. Just then. Chapter 1264, The Fourth Trial. Just then, something clicked in Feng Wu's head, and she realized that the fairy was talking to her. Hey, you. The fairy gave Feng Wu a strange look. Feng Wu's stomach lurched. What now? Do you have a new task for me? The fairy said, yes, it's the fourth trial. But... Feng Wu asked, but what? The fairy put on a long face. But it's kind of long. Feng Wu asked, what's that supposed to mean? The fairy thought for a moment before she asked, are you sure you want to hear it? Feng Wu was speechless. What do you think? The fairy looked sympathetically at Feng Wu when she said, for the fourth trial, you'll have to become a top 10 Year 2 student, make Jun Linyuan change his opinion about you, cheer him up, and make him call you his lovely little fool of his own free will. Feng Wu was speechless. The fairy buried her face in her hands. Don't hit me. I have nothing to do with the design of the task. Feng Wu took a deep breath. The fairy was right. It was a very long task, so long that it almost made her lose control. Became a top 10 Year 2 student. The corner of Feng Wu's mouth twitched. She was the top student of Year 1 now, but she had only just gotten in, so she hadn't thought about skipping a grade yet. However, she said, it's doable. I can just go talk to Grand Secretary Fang. Lucky for her, she had been on friendly terms with Grand Secretary Fang from the beginning, and he would always help her when something came up in Imperial College. Chaoga and Qiuling noticed Feng Wu sitting there absent-mindedly for a while, before she got to her feet. Chaoga was bewildered. Xiao Wu, where are you going? Feng Wu said, I just remembered something, and I need to see Grand Secretary Fang now. What? Chaoga smacked her own forehead. I just remembered, Grand Secretary Fang has gone into seclusion. What? Feng Wu was dumbfounded. He did. Chaoga said earnestly. It was yesterday, and you weren't around. Grand Secretary Fang sent us a message, saying that he'll be out in 10 days. Feng Wu immediately asked the fairy, what's the time limit for this trial? The fairy said, 10 days. Feng Wu was speechless. That was to say, her time would be up when Grand Secretary Fang came out of seclusion. What an unfortunate coincidence. Feng Wu rubbed her forehead in frustration. Since all her previous trials had been completed in such a hurry, she decided that she was going to start early this time. She told the other two girls, I'm going to Imperial College. Without Grand Secretary Fang's help, she could still get into Year 2 herself. Xiao Wu, are you going to school now? Chaoga asked curiously. Feng Wu chuckled. No, I'm going to skip a grade. What? Even Chaoga was surprised. Why so sudden? Feng Wu chuckled. I'll become a Year 2 student sooner or later, won't I? Without you, what fun will Year 1 be? Xiao Wu, I'm going to Year 2 with you, Chaoga said earnestly as she took Feng Wu's hand. Feng Wu nodded after some thought. At your current cultivation level, you might be pushing your limits a little if you try to get into Year 2 now, but it's always worth trying. Hence, the two of them went to Imperial College together. The office of the chief of year 1. What? You want to skip a grade to year 2? Chief Yu stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Are you sure about that? Chapter 1265, Difficulty. Feng Wu nodded. I'm sure. Chief Yu frowned. You're capable enough to go to year 2, but Grand Secretary Fang isn't here at the moment, and no one can approve your application. Is there another way? Feng Wu asked. Chief Yu said, if the chief of year 2 agrees and you can pass their formation trial, you'll be allowed to skip grades. No one will be able to stop you then. Hearing that there was another way, Feng Wu nodded with a smile. I'll try it, then. Chief Yu gave her a strange look. Aren't you going to ask me who the chief of year 2 is? The question itself was enough to suggest that the chief of year 2 had to be someone special. Feng Wu asked, who is it? Chief Yu said quietly, he's Chief Qiao. Qiao. Feng Wu hesitated before asking, is this person related to Miss Qiao Yi? Chief Yu gave Feng Wu a solemn nod. He's Qiao Yi's father. Feng Wu was amazed by the unfortunate coincidence. Chief Yu smiled. Do you see the difficulty that you're facing now? Feng Wu was speechless. Miss Yu, how can you still smile? Chief Yu was still smiling. Now that Mr. Fang isn't here, I'd like to see you defeat Chief Qiao. I should tell you that his daughter is everything to him, and he dotes on her. Otherwise, she would never have become such an arrogant person. Feng Wu said, Chief Yu said, he personally walked Xiao Yi into our office and made sure we all heard him. If anyone dares to pick on his baby girl, he'll stop at nothing to get revenge for her. Chief Yu smiled at Feng Wu after she said those words. Feng Wu had greatly offended Xiao Yi, not to mention that she had slapped her. That was some serious offense by Xiao Yi's standards. Rubbing her forehead, Feng Wu was a little frustrated. Chief Yu reminded her out of kindness, would you like to wait until Mr. Fang comes back? I'm sure he'll help you. Feng Wu smiled bitterly. She would love to wait for Grand Secretary Fang to come back, but her task wouldn't let her. She gave Chief Yu a wry smile. Miss Yu, can you tell me exactly what I need to do? Chief Yu had always liked Feng Wu, not to mention that Grand Secretary Fang had left instructions that she should help Feng Wu whenever she could. Hence, she carefully talked Feng Wu through the process before telling her, you'll also have to fill in an application form and have your class teacher sign it. Feng Wu didn't see that coming. Qiao Yi had to sign it. Could it get any more difficult? However, she had to complete the task, and she didn't have much of a choice. Feng Wu could only ask, where's Miss Qiao Yi now? Glancing at the class schedule, Chief Yu said, she's teaching the new year 1 students now. If you go to the new student quarter now, I'm sure you'll find her there. As for if she would sign Feng Wu's form. Chief Yu shook her head inwardly. She prayed that those two wouldn't start a fight again. Turning around, Feng Wu saw that Chaoge wasn't there. She realized that the girl must be bored and had gone out to play. So, she filled in a form for Chaoge as well. Chaoge is going to skip grades, too. Chief Yu was shocked. Feng Wu nodded. That's right. She's with me. Chief Yu was surprised. You're the top student on the year 1 billboard, and students like Rong Shixin or Si Yuan aren't your match. But Chaoge. Chapter 1266, he used to belittle Feng Wu. Chaoge hadn't taken the test either, and like Feng Wu, her name wasn't on the billboard. Feng Wu smiled. Miss Yu, please don't worry. Grand Secretary Fang is teaching Chaoge himself, and she's been making progress at an incredible speed. Since Grand Secretary Fang was teaching Xiaoqi, Feng Wu had asked him to include Chaoge in his classes as well, since it wouldn't make any difference to him. While Feng Wu was busy with her trials, Chaoge and Xiaoqi had been making huge progress in their cultivation. These people at Imperial College would be astonished when they saw what they had achieved. Chief Yu had no idea what was going on in Feng Wu's head, and there was no way she could know how capable Chaoga was. She was about to speak when quick footsteps came from outside. Chief Yu, please come. Some students have broken into a fight. Involuntarily, Chief Yu glanced at Feng Wu, wondering who else could have started a fight when Feng Wu was here in the office. What happened? Chief Yu stared at the student. Feng Wu recognized the student. His name was Guan Shan, and he was from Universe Court. Guan Shan glanced at Feng Wu and hesitated. That struck Feng Wu as odd, and she wondered if it had something to do with her. Answer my question. Chief Yu prompted. Guan Shan said hastily, Duan Chaoga and Tao Yu had a quarrel that turned into a fight. Duan Chaoga hit Tao Yu, so Guan Jing went to help Tao Yu, then Duan Chaoga hit her as well. Guan Shan could still remember how intimidating Duan Chaoga was. The way she punched Tao Yu and kicked Guan Jing made many senior students go pale. She was only Duan Chaoga, not Feng Wu. What was wrong with the newbies this year? Why were they so unbelievably capable? Are you telling me that Chaoga hit both Guan Jing and Tao Yu? Chief Yu looked shocked. She had been questioning Chaoga's capability just a moment ago, and now here was proof to the contrary. Both Guan Jing and Tao Yu were senior year 1 students who were ranked in the top 100 on the billboard, but the two of them couldn't even defeat Chaoga together. Are you talking about Feng Sang's two friends? Feng Wu recognized the two names. She remembered that every time she ran into Feng Sang, those two girls would start taunting her before Feng Sang spoke, which was why Feng Wu remembered who they were. Yes. Them. Guan Shan nodded at Feng Wu. As a senior student, he used to look down on Feng Wu as well. However, ever since she defeated Xianyuan Yi in the duel, he began to feel reverence in her presence. Crossing her hands behind her back, Feng Wu asked indifferently, so what if she did hit them? Guan Shan pulled a long face. It wouldn't be a problem if she had hit someone else, but Tao Yu's brother Tao Hu is a year 2 student, and she's run to him for help. A year 2 student? Feng Wu was looking for an opportunity to get in touch with one, and voila. Here he was. Feng Wu said goodbye to Chief Yu, then headed for Universe Court with Guan Shan. The courtyard was crowded when Feng Wu arrived. Everyone from both Universe Court and Blue Cloud Court was there after hearing the news. Chaoga stood in the middle, as everyone whispered among themselves around her. Chapter 1267, She's Doomed for Sure. Is she Duan Chaoga, the new student this year who's been hanging around Feng Wu? That's her all right. Wasn't she a butterball before? She's so pretty now. She was poisoned back then. Feng Wu helped her get rid of the toxin, and she's transformed from a 100 kilograms fatso to a 40 kilograms cutie. I heard Tao Yu's brother has a thing for pretty girls. I'm sure he'll cut Duan Chaoga some slack when he sees her pretty face. Don't be too sure about that. You weren't here just then, but Duan Chaoga was relentless. Tao Yu's face is all swollen, and you can see the handprint Duan Chaoga left on her cheek. Chaoga isn't to be blamed for everything, you know. You weren't here, but Tao Yu said some pretty mean things. She wouldn't stop insulting Feng Wu. I don't think this will end well. Tao Yu's brother is said to be a very irascible guy with a gang of his own known as Tiger Head. It's quite influential among the Year 2 students. The Year 1 and Year 2 students have lived in peace all this time, but I think something big is about to happen. Just then, there were aggressive footsteps in the distance. No. That's Tao Yu. That stalwart young man next to her must be her brother, Tao Hu. Tao Hu has 5 people with him. Their eyes are glowing, you can tell how capable they are. Oh God, Chaoga is so dead. Instantly, everyone began to give Chaoga sympathetic looks. The group of people arrived at Universe Court in no time. Thump. Tao Hu kicked the front gate of Universe Court open. The rumble resonated in the air. The Year 1 students felt a ringing in their ears and pain in their heads. Everyone paled. How impressive! Year 2 students were indeed very capable. That made sense. It would take most students 10 years to make it from Year 1 to Year 2, and one could learn a lot in those 10 years. Almost every student backed away when Tao Hu entered, creating a path wide enough for 3 people to walk through shoulder to shoulder. Brother! There's Duan Chaoga. Tao Yu was still crying, her face so swollen that she reminded one of a pig. Seeing the sorry state his baby sister was in, Tao Hu was furious. He charged out even before Tao Yu was done speaking. With a heavy cape over his shoulders, he cut quite an imposing figure as he walked. He quickly approached Duan Chaoga. Such a pretty girl. That was the first thing Tao Hu thought of when he saw Chaoga. But his rage took over, and he stared at her. Are you the one who hurt Tao Yu? Chaoga never cowered in front of anyone. Staring back at Tao Hu, she said coldly, yes, but it's none of your business. She admitted it outright. Covering her swollen cheek with her hand, Guan Jing grinned maliciously. Duan Chaoga, since you dare admit it, be prepared to take Tao Hu's rage. The students in the crowd were all scared at what might happen to Chaoga next. How can she be so dumb? Why did she admit it? Chapter 1268, Untitled. Tao Hu stared at Duan Chaoga. I see. I don't fight women, though. Leng Hu, you do it. Leng Hu was the only female member of Tiger Head. She stepped out at the boss's order. Leng Hu wore a short fur coat made from white fox and a plain black skirt. Her face was expressionless, and her eyes were as cold as ice. She was everything her name suggested. As soon as she stepped out, she charged at Chaoga without another word. She moved as fast as a white fox. It was so fast. All anyone could see was a flash of white light, and the next second, Leng Hu was in front of Chaoga. It was so fast. She was a level 6 spiritual grandmaster at least. Chaoga was a level 5 spiritual grandmaster. She was inferior in cultivation ability, but the gap wasn't unsurpassable. She was the fearless type, and even a stronger opponent wouldn't intimidate her. Thump! 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 They exchanged a few blows before both landed on the ground. Chaoga stumbled back 7 steps, but Leng Hu stopped after 3. She smirked. You're too weak to fight me. Die! Before Chaoga had time to react, Leng Hu struck out again. Thump! 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 Both spared no effort when they struck. The crowd all watched with wide open, unblinking eyes. Most people felt certain that Duan Chaoga was going to be defeated. They believed that a new Year 1 student could never win against a Year 2 student. What was more, Duan Chaoga had been losing ground from the very beginning. Thump! Chaoga was caught off guard, and Leng Hu stabbed her in the shoulder with her sword. The pain made Chaoga pale a little and draw in her breath. Despite her injury, she fought even harder. As time went by, Chaoga suffered from even more injuries, and the dots of blood looked like plum blossoms on her dress. There were as many as 13 of them. Duan Chaoga is going to lose. She has so many cuts on her. If she doesn't stop, she'll bleed to death. Year 2 students are so much better than us. Duan Chaoga has already defended her honor by withstanding Leng Hu's attack for so long. That's right. Her smartest choice now is to stop fighting and apologize. Almost everyone agreed that Chaoga was going to lose, and they all thought that she should apologize. Among the senior Year 1 students, Feng Sang and Yi Yafei were gloating over Chaoga's predicament. But Duan Chaoga had no intention of doing that. Even when blood was oozing from her wounds and even when each breath she took pained her, she still went on fighting. She never believed in giving up. Are you going to admit your defeat or not? Leng Hu's blade rested on Chaoga's fair neck. Chaoga smirked. Admit my defeat? In your dreams. Die, then. Leng Hu flipped her sword around and aimed the tip of the blade at Chaoga's neck. But before she could give the final blow, Chaoga caught the sharp blade with both hands. Oh God! Look at Duan Chaoga's hands. She's holding the blade with her bare hands. Does she want to ruin them? Everyone watched as blood ran down Duan Chaoga's palms and dripped onto the ground. Drip, drip. Chapter 1269, Untitled. That was the sound of her blood dripping on the ground. It sounded so painful. Even Leng Hu looked astonished, let alone the audience. She might be relentless herself, but she knew she couldn't see herself bleed without so much as a frown like Chaoga. That was the chance Chaoga had been waiting for. While Leng Hu was distracted, Chaoga took a deep breath, and shifted suddenly while activating her spiritual energy. Die! Chaoga dashed out and reappeared behind Leng Hu. She had used Phoenix Dance, the move that Feng Wu had taught her. She hadn't mastered it yet, but it was more than enough to handle a distracted Leng Hu. The next second, Chaoga was no longer in front of Leng Hu when the latter came back to her senses. All of a sudden, she felt something cold on her neck. A streak of cold energy ran up her leg, then her spine. Shit! When Leng Hu realized what had happened, it was already too late. The blade of Chaoga's dagger was on Leng Hu's neck. Chaoga's hands were still bleeding, and the warm blood ran down Leng Hu's neck into her clothes. Leng Hu, the nonchalant and arrogant girl, felt terrified for the very first time. Are you willing to admit your defeat? Chaoga smirked. The crowd stared at Chaoga in disbelief. That was incredible. She had been losing ground from the very start, but had grabbed the opportunity to turn things around. A short distance away, Tao Hu looked infuriated when he saw this. Leng Hu snorted. You want me to admit my defeat? That's never going to happen. Chaoga asked, aren't you afraid that I'll kill you? Leng Hu sneered. You wouldn't dare. Chaoga didn't reply, but only pressed the dagger down. Whoosh! It was the sound of the blade cutting open flesh. Everyone's eyes widened. They saw that Chaoga had really cut Leng Hu's neck. Blood immediately oozed out. Leng Hu felt a chill go down her spine. How dare she? Damn it! Stop! With a grim look on his face, Tao Hu glared at Chaoga. She's lost, so let her go. Chaoga smiled. Then, two crisp, cracking sounds resounded in the air. Duan Chaoga, you. Everyone watched as Chaoga broke both of Leng Hu's arms. Chaoga smirked. She hurt me with those arms. What's wrong with a little revenge? Well, technically, there was nothing wrong with what she did, but not everyone was concerned for Duan Chaoga's safety. By the looks of it, Leng Hu was only the weakest member of Tiger Head, and there were 4 more of them. Wasn't she afraid of their revenge? As expected, there was a flash of red light, and someone grabbed Leng Hu. Sister Hu, are you alright? How do you feel? It was a teenager in a red robe. A lock of red hair fell over his forehead, which was quite eye-catching. It's Gu Honglang. Gu Honglang. As in the one who fought his way into Dragon's Teeth all by himself and decapitated the leader of those bandits? Yes, him. I didn't know he was a member of Tiger Head, though. Oh God. Duan Chaoga is so dead this time. Everyone gave Duan Chaoga sympathetic looks, and some even hinted at her to run away while she still could. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.